in theory, it is possible. I guess it depends on how easy the government of the country you're living in is prepared to give you citizenship. And, I think the Japanese, well, in theory it's possible, but, they don't hand it out like confetti.
Are you British?
Yes. Oh, yes, and the British have something called the IC code, the British police, I should say. And at Speaker's Corner, there's a guy called IC3, and he's black, and he wishes to be identified as black, and, he does this, look like a Nazi, but, wear it as a black man and call himself IC3. So IC1 is white. IC2 is Mediterranean looking, IC3 is black, IC4 is Asian, and IC5 is East Asian. This is for it to be, completely objective, because the police, when they're radioing to each other from their cars, will say IC1 male, walking towards you, police bobby.
I didn't interrupt, but what type of Brit are you? Are you an Englishman? Are you Scottish?
Oh, you haven't noticed I'm female.
What is the ethnicity of... I'm asking you a question.
Yeah, I'm not IC1, and I guess here it would matter because you're basically IC1 males talking down to and maybe accusing people of being Jewish if they win the argument. So I guess you'd be arguing that I am Jewish. My mother is not Jewish. Is that your next accusation? You're going to accuse me of being Jewish like you accused James of being Jewish?
I'm not accusing you of being Jewish.
I know James isn't Jewish because his mother isn't Jewish.
Oh my God.
I like when when a lady or the boy with British accent coming to the space to educate everybody else, because they are the most proficient people in their world, like empire. And now you have someone with British accent who doesn't have any connection with the land, trying to convince you that no, she what she said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, how many we have? Go fuck yourself, lady, or the boy, or
your accent is not American. I speak English, so I can be understood by anyone speaking English.
I'm
yeah,
Slavic.
So I'm sure
yes,
you're
and
white,
my DNA
and you don't like
is
the
so
English.
pure. No, my DNA is so pure that you cannot compete.
Getting kicked. Did he end the space? Says he ended it. Oh, I was listening to the girls go at it. Oh, I guess I gotta go hunt that Ryan Madden one down. I'm gonna play this this Spaces from last night. I didn't get to listen to it. It's by Ryan Matta, who's been staying up on Charlie Kirk. See,
the app, and I had to restart the app, and I came back, and everybody was gone. So Sam, let me just give me 2 seconds. Let me get everybody back in here.
Right, that's headquartered just right.
Left off. Sorry about that, my friend.
Yeah, so I don't know where we were left off. I think I was talking about the Bombardier spy plane. There's this Bombardier spy plane owned by a company out of Northern Virginia. Okay, a company that's just right. That's headquartered just right on the outskirts of DC, basically. Okay. And it's this new Bombardier spy plane that's part of the Hades program. It's like high altitude detection and electronic surveillance or something. I can't remember exactly what the acronym stands for, but it's a spy plane that has electronic and visual spy capabilities. Some have said maybe it even has drone deploying capabilities. Well, this plane, tail number 1098. November 1098 Lima. I think it's N1098L. I think that's the tail numbers. Somebody can check me on that. But and I've done this research on my own as well. On September 9th, it did a flyover of Utah from El Paso on its way to Kalispell, Montana, and back. It did that on September 9th, okay? Nothing special, nothing crazy. It flew from El Paso to Kalispell, Montana, and back on September 9th. Okay, well, then the next day, it does the exact same flight, only this time, when it gets to Utah, it descends to a few hundred feet above the ground, does a circle around Utah Lake, literally just like a mile or two from UVU, okay, at an altitude of a couple hundred feet. At near stall speed, something like 125 knots. It slows down to like 125 knots, okay, a jet. Descends from like, I don't know, 35 or 45,000 feet down to a couple hundred feet. Slows down to about 125 knots. Does a circle, basically right next to UVU, then climbs again, and this right before, just a couple hours before Charlie Kirk is shot, then ascends again and proceeds on to Kalispell, Montana, where it lands. Then it takes off, it turns around, takes off, comes back, does the exact same maneuver in reverse, descends down to a few hundred feet above the deck, does a circle next to UVU at about 125 knots, and then climbs and proceeds back to El Paso. It has literally never ever done this. You can go, at least in the 3 months of data that I've gone back and looked at, it has literally never done this maneuver ever before. It's never made this flight with this maneuver ever before. And the only other time it's ever done this exact flight path was the night before. Okay, so that's it. This Bombardier spy plane has never done this El Paso to Kalispell flight before over Utah, through Utah, except for the night before Charlie's killed. Then it does it again the day Charlie's killed, a couple hours before Charlie's killed. And then I think on the way back, it's something like 15 or 20 minutes after Charlie's killed. It's doing this weird maneuver where it goes from like 40 or 50,000 feet down to a couple hundred feet, near stall speed, does a circle, and then climbs and then proceeds on. Does it in both directions, before the shooting and then right after the shooting. What's that all about? I don't know what that's all about. People have been asking about this. Well, Baron Coleman, once again, did some Google trend searches, and he found that somebody in Israel was searching for this plane and this tail number back in August. Okay. What's that all about? I don't know what that means, but that's interesting. Why is Israel searching the tail numbers of this Bombardier spy plane that's doing this weird maneuver the morning Charlie Kirk is shot in Orem, Utah? Well, we don't know. But if we had a real FBI and a real investigation, maybe that's something we could get to the bottom of. You know, so Ryan, that's just some of the things, some of the mind-blowing things that we're discovering as we get into this investigation, as all these just legions of citizen journalists are investigating this like an army of swarm ants here. That's what we are. We're like an army of swarm ants, just exploring every nook and cranny. That's what we're doing. You know, ants, they just like go everywhere, and a lot of the directions they go off on are fruitless. But every now and then, one of their scout ants finds some food or a morsel, and then the whole colony shows up. And that's kind of how I feel like this investigation's proceeding with the investigative, with all of us citizen investigators. Is we're just looking at everything. We're exploring every nook and cranny, and many of these nooks and crannies obviously are not paying off, or are obvious dead ends, or whatever, or we're tricked, or maybe or like we think it's something but it's not. But we are discovering real things, relevant things, and the picture it's painting is that this was a conspiracy. There's a cover-up. This was a sophisticated operation. We're not sure who's involved exactly or how it was pulled off, but I think we're getting closer. So just to give you a couple examples of, we had these stories before about muzzle flashes in windows. Turns out that probably wasn't a thing. There was ideas about like shooting projectiles out of microphones. Then we thought, no, that's not a thing. Now we're back to maybe an exploding mic, perhaps. Baron Coleman has uncovered some interesting things there. And you'll have to go watch his stream yesterday, because I can't recount everything, but this munitions plant, this bomb-making factory, I believe in Tennessee, that blew up, just completely just destroyed a little while back. Well, he uncovered that they had delivered on a contract in August for a micro explosive device, a very unique contract that they never ever fulfilled before back in August. And then they're wiped out. Well, then he did a Google trend search, and he found that somebody was searching for this plant and this company, I think in Israel or DC, before it happened. So like, what does that mean? and somebody was searching for Rode Wireless mic. So was there indeed perhaps an explosive device in the mic or on Charlie's person somewhere as part of a fail-safe, or in case somebody missed a shot or something? I mean, I don't know. These are the details that we're running down. We don't know what they mean. We don't know if they mean anything. But so you should go watch Baron Coleman's streams. If you want to know more about this, go watch Baron Coleman's streams on YouTube. He's blowing up. He started with about 400 followers, and I think just in the last week he's quadrupled or quintupled his following just in a few days, because he's presenting some very, very compelling information. So, the other day Candace tweeted about the Egyptian military plane that was there that took off after, she thought it was after Charlie's shooting. Turns out she got the times missed, and so people were attacking her for, misreading the UTC, Universal Time Code symbol. Okay, so she got that wrong. Okay, so she got that part of the detail wrong. Well, we're not going to get everything right, but there still was like this Egyptian military plane there the day up. What's that all about? Never been there before. This looks like a military operation. What's this Egyptian military plane doing there? We don't know. We need to investigate it. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's something. We don't know. Last night I presented some data that perhaps there was a muzzle flash from behind a tree in front of the Sorensen building. Something it looked interesting. Well, maybe I've looked at it about 100 times since then, Ryan, and no, maybe it doesn't look like it might be anything at all, but maybe it is. It's hard to know. It came from a video by Adam Bartholomew, who posted this HD video of the whole event, both before and after the shooting. And his mic and sound got out of sync with the video, so it's going to be difficult to do anything with it, because the audio-visual encoding is messed up. But, what's interesting, so aside from what I thought was originally possibly a muzzle flash, originally found by Barron, by the way, he's got eyes of an eagle, Adam Bartholomew in that video does something very interesting. After the shooting, he walks around campus, videoing certain areas of campus. And one of the areas he sets up his camera at and just films for a while is the back corner of the Losey Center, where allegedly Tyler Robinson is shown. You know how there's that video of Tyler Robinson running across the back end of the roof of the Losey Center, and then he scales down the corner and jumps down to the ground and then runs off? Well, that was released, I think later that day or the next day or a couple days after. I can't remember exactly when that was released, but the point is that was not released until well after the event happened. Well, Adam Bartholomew, just a few minutes after the shooting, circles around behind that building, sets up his camera, films that very corner of the building. Then he pans it over and he zooms in and shows the cameras that are filming that building. Very similar to what Blake discovered when Blake went there and got that footage and said, hey, look, here's these cameras. You can see them from this parking structure. This is the cameras that captured the footage of Tyler running across the roof of the building. Well, Adam Bartholomew, just minutes after the shooting, circles around there, sets up his camera, and gives us perfect shots of that back corner of the Losey building, and then pans over and looks at the cameras on the parking structure. Then he retraces the steps of the person in that video, who's allegedly Tyler Robinson, as he's walking across the parking lot, crosses the street, makes his way off his escape. Remember how the footage shows us that? Well, then Adam follows, he films that, he streams that, the path of escape of Tyler Robinson. Well, so now people are asking, well, wait a second, what are the odds that Adam Bartholomew, when he's on top of the Hall of Flags when the shooting occurs, like completely on the other side of the shooting, just minutes after this shooting, when nobody knows anything, nobody knows where the shot came from, nobody knows who did it, nobody knows the route of escape, nobody knows anything, he circles all the way around, does 180 degrees behind all those buildings, and sets up his camera to give us a perfect shot of that back corner of the Losey building, the camera's on the parking structure, and then films and retraces the path of the Tyler Robinson figure from the video that won't be released for several hours or a couple days. How did he know? Isn't that strange? What a coincidence. What's going on there? I don't know what that means either, but it seems kind of suspicious. And you guys can go look. You can go find that video. It's posted on my page. I've pinned the tweet that I thought was a muzzle flash, the muzzle flash video. So you can go find that. It's my pinned tweet. And then if you scroll down in that thread, I linked the source video. And that's to Adam Bartholomew's account. It's called, in fact, I'm just going to put it up in the nest, Ryan. I'm going to put his video up in the nest for people to see. It's called Raw Video File Charlie Kirk Shooting from Adam Bartholomew at Life is Driving. And it's just, and I'm not accusing Adam of anything. I don't know what this is. I don't know what's going on. But it's just weird that just a few minutes after the shooting, he takes all his equipment and circles all the way around to the other side of all these buildings and sets up, giving us a perfect view of that back corner of the Losey building, pans over, gives us a perfect view of the cameras that are going to capture that corner of the Losey building, and then proceeds to traverse the path of the alleged getaway. Seems very odd. How did he know? What a coincidence. What a coincidence. I don't know what it means. You guys will have to, but this is something to look at. So again, internet sleuths, here's my call. Here's my call if you want to do something. Watch that video and do some research and see what you find. I haven't been able to do a thorough vetting of that video all the way from front to back, but what's there? What's there to find that we haven't seen? Isn't that odd? Isn't that odd that he's giving us perfect shots and perfect views of the future video that's going to be released that hasn't been released to the public yet? So what do you make of that, Ryan? Or Matt? Matt's up here.
Yeah, that's pretty. Go ahead. I said, yeah, that's pretty trippy, man. I actually came in to talk about Candace. I was planning on doing a video about it 2 days ago, but I had to take a break from the insanity. So I'm glad you guys are still out here crushing it out. For me, I find the whole concept of Candace Owens saying she knows for a 100% fact. I don't know if you guys have got into this or not, but for me, that is got to be disingenuous. How can you know anything for a 100% fact? Even if you knew the medical examiner. She said she knows for a 100% fact that he got shot from the front. 100% fact that it got stuck in his neck. You didn't see that?
Well, I think we all
she got the UTC thing wrong. Okay, fine. She got that detail wrong. She might be wrong about that. So I think we have to be cautious. We have to be cautious. We have to see what information comes out. But I will say that she has proven that she knows things ahead of time and then produces the receipts. So I'm giving her some leeway. I'm going to give her leeway there. And I thank you for bringing this up, man. And I'll get right back to you in a second. So remember those surgeons that Barron found were being searched for by Israel in the Google Trends back in July? Well, Candace received a tip on the surgeon who gave that quote about, Charlie having the neck of steel, and his name was one of those names that had been searched for in July. And she didn't get the tip of that name until I think after we posted that onto the timeline. So very odd timing. Her mind was blown. She's like, nobody knows who the surgeon was. I just got the tip myself yesterday, and his name is on this list being searched for out of Israel, along with, back in July. So that was suspicious. That's interesting. To your point, Matt, okay, maybe she's not going to get everything right. Maybe she's getting that wrong, like the UTC code thing, perhaps. So I do think, you're right. We have to, we can't, it's hard to say anything.
Can I just weigh in on it? Right? Can I just weigh in on it? I just want to. So here's the thing. It's like everything else she says, I find that suspicious and I'm asking questions. I find this suspicious and I'm asking questions. And how do we know this and how do we know that? But this thing, she knows for a 100% absolute fact that she went out of her way. There is no way that anyone could know for a fact unless you were the person who did the autopsy. And even then you wouldn't know if the people in the car messed up the crime scene and put a hole in his back or put a bullet in or did whatever. So there's literally no way any person on planet Earth really know that for a fact, especially not as a third person, especially not someone who couldn't get hold of an autopsy and there wasn't a real autopsy and there's a medical exam and then somehow or another they have this absolute perfect understanding of what went on. To me, that's sketchy. It means that, yes, she put out some information ahead of time, and I've been backing Candace the whole time. I've been posting her stuff, and people are hating on me, and then the receipts come out, and then I post it, and then she comes out, the receipts come out. But whether she's in on it or not, or whether there's anything nefarious here at all, I mean, it is part of the investigation in my mind, is that if whoever's feeding her information, because she didn't have the text herself personally, so she gets fed the text, and then the text comes out to be true. So what better way to run a psyop on people is to give them information and have it come true. It's like, I feel like sometimes this happens with Alex Jones. Like, they'll give him a piece of information that comes true, he gets to be the right guy. Give him another piece, he's right. And then like, oh, this is what's happening today, Alex. And then they poison the well of this information. They're tell, someone, hey, bet on this horse, and they bet on that horse. They went, bet on that horse. This is the big one, and then that horse fails because you're feeding them this. You're basically grooming them to believe that this source of information and these people have your back. That's not beyond the realms of possibility. Anybody with her mind and her sharpness and her acuity to come out and just say she knows for an absolute fact. To me, that is the weirdest thing I've heard all the time. And then she takes all this time off. I think it's very strange, personally.
I agree that it is a bit of hyperbole because you do raise a point. How can you know anything for sure, absolute fact? I would have said something with a high degree of certainty, or I'm fairly sure, or the facts were compelling, some sort of hedging language, right? To say it was absolute certainty, no doubt, that does seem beyond.
Or I've read the report. Yeah. I've read the report, but who writes the report?
Right.
Unless you're there in the hospital, putting your finger in the hole and feeling the bullet. I mean, it's a fragment. You don't even know if it's got rifling marks. So you find there's a fragment of a bullet somewhere in a tin next to Charlie Kirk that someone saw. I mean, honestly, because when you add it all up,
it is a stretch. It is a stretch. I think she overspoke here. It's a good point.
I hope so. I'm hoping either she wasn't threatened or she was fed some bad information, and now she's going to be. I feel like it's a Pied Piper thing. I feel like she sucked everyone. She sucked all of the oxygen of all of the movement, of all of the people questioning this. We're not taking this. We're not believing that. We're not believing this. We're not believing that. And then at the end, yep, it's all true. It's kind of like Cash Patel. It's like, hey, he killed himself. He killed himself. Epstein killed himself. There is no files. It's like the whole time you're going, let's get Cash in there. Cash is going to save us. He's going to tell us what happened. What happened, Cash? Nothing happened. Epstein killed himself. You know what I mean? To me, that's the vibes I'm getting. And I hate to be that guy, but I mean, I like Candace and all. And like I said, I've been backing her the whole time. But at this point in the game, you got to question everything. And also another thing is, has anybody seen the actual clean video of the side of Charlie on his right that shows the chair going through the table? Because at first I thought that was fake, and I was like, that's not going through the table, it's a bad angle. I've seen it over and over and over again. The guy stands directly on top of the table, and not only does it fall through the table, it drags through the table. So it's not just like it goes through a hole in the table. So it seems to me to be impossible that is either an AI glitch.
If you look at the photo of the actual chair, it's a weird design on the chair where it's actually missing, like it doesn't have 4 legs, it has like 2 side leg things. So what you're watching, I think, is the chair not falling through the table. It's just it's the way the angle of the chair is set up. I saw the chair and I looked at the chair and I was like, oh fuck, that's what it was. And you're also getting a re-rendered version of a re-rendered video. Nobody's ever been able to present the original of that either.
Yeah, so we have not found that yet. Okay, fair enough. And then has anybody really looked into this? There's this Indian kid, he kind of looks like Aboriginal, curly hair. He was the guy, I've been talking to him, he said he was going to get me video from underneath the hatch or the thing, and he's just being such a freaking weirdo. I'm trying to contact with this guy, and he said won't get on the phone, and he's constantly asking me for money. And when in the video, he's like when the gunshots first happen, he's up in the building with all the rainbows inside it, and he's like run, everybody run, and he's going the opposite direction that everybody's running in. And then he goes, wait, what happened? Oh, they got shot. It's like, it seems so disingenuous that he's telling everybody, to run away, that he's going the opposite direction. And then he pretends like he doesn't know what's happening. It's very weird. And then now all of a sudden he's like become a part of it. He's out there doing the interviews and he's trying to make money off of the videos. And I don't know. It's just weird if anybody's looked into him. I just think he's another strange angle.
Well, I'll say, Matt, it does look like that there's a lot of plants, decoys, people. There does seem to be a fair amount. If you watch all the videos, you see all the analyses, it does seem like there's a lot of people that seem a little out of place. Their behavior seems odd. It's hard to know exactly what to make of it, but it kind of all adds up for me, it feels like there were boots on the ground, there were misinformation agents, there were decoys, there were spooks, like that there was some kind of operation going on from front to back. That's my impression. Like, I can't prove it, but that's what it seems like from. Yeah, I mean,
George Zinn, he should be like, oh my God, like if Antifa is a terrorist organization, I can guarantee you could probably tie him somehow to it. He should be being waterboarded right now for what he knows, because Why would a guy who goes to a bunch of right-wing events and is supposedly Mr. Right-Wing, he's hanging out at all these right-wing events, stand up, pull his pants down, and create this thing? Like, wouldn't you be afraid you were going to get shot? Like, in what world would you jump up and say, I'm the murderer in a situation like that? It's just absolutely beyond any realm of any possibility. And the idea that he just like, oh, he got child porn and we moved on. It's like, dude, that guy needs to be seriously interrogated, and every single thing he owns needs to be looked into, on all of his communications, top to bottom. That is just like, if you do that kind of activity, if you claim to be, involved in a shooting, I'm sorry, you've lost your first, second, third, and every single other amendment there is. At that point, you just got to literally be cavity searched.
And he was walking around the hospital, and he was telling people at the hospital allegedly that, or at I believe it was the hospital when they first took him in, that he had been paid, that somebody had paid him to say that, and that's why he was saying.
And he doesn't know who's going to pay him.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to pay me, but I'm getting paid. And it's like, this guy goes to all these right-wing events. When I saw him at first, I just assumed he's some leftist whack job. He fit the bill perfectly. But pulling his pants off, I mean, wouldn't you be afraid you'd get shot? If you did something like that in an area like that? People had carry permits on that campus, supposedly. There's that guy who's open carrying, running away. You see, I posted that one of the second day or something. There's that guy with the handgun. Everyone's like, good, he has a handgun, he's protecting himself. But people have guns, you know what I mean? It's like, you're really going to put yourself in that level of risk? I mean, that's some MK Ultra shit there too. Even if you thought you were going to get something out of it, wouldn't you have the fear mechanism in your body to stop you from standing up in a shooting situation? Especially, you didn't know that the shooting was going to stop. How did he not know that there was going to be more fire? That guy's totally in on it.
And he was reading a script too. If you read his reaction to it, I was watching that again today. I think Hustle Bitch put that video out a couple hours ago, and you listen to the guy and he's literally reading a script. Why would you need to be reading from a script when you're just trying to explain exactly what you were doing? That doesn't make sense. It seemed all too scripted. And allegedly we only know his first name. We still haven't figured out who that guy actually is. I don't know if anybody else has, but I believe that's what Hustle Bitch was saying in his video, that we don't even know who that dude is yet.
Well, let's just go back to George Zinn. First of all, his full name is George Hodgson Zinn. And it turns out George Hodgson Zinn was another one of these Google searches being conducted back in July ahead of time. George Hodgson Zinn.
How close can you dial those searches in? How close from what area they're coming? Does it just say from Israel proper, or?
From what we know, it was from Israel. But what's also suggestive is the time window, because it's also coming in the same time window as all these other searches: Timpanogos Regional Hospital, all the surgeons at Timpanogos, Road Wireless Mike, Bo Mason, Deirdre Amaro. There's this 10 window in July, from July 14th or July 24th, roughly. There's some leeway on some of these searches, but that's where the bulk of a lot of these searches out of Israel and DC are coming from, is right in this narrow window in July. And George Hodgson Zinn is one of them. So again, what does it mean? We can't say for sure what it means, but it needs to be talked about. We need to look at it, and we need to scratch our chins and ask ourselves some hard questions. Hunter Kozak, the kid who was talking about transgender shooters at the moment that a transgender shooter shoots Charlie, he shows up in these Google Trend search results as well. What's going on?
That's fucking crazy. Whose idea was it to start looking up those Google Trends? That's a whole other angle right there.
It's a man by the name of Baron Coleman, and just like it sounds, BaronColeman. He's on YouTube. That's the name of his channel, Baron Coleman. And he's got 4 streams on this, and they're right there. We'll get them watch them while they're hot, and just go see. I mean, he's searched everything, and everything's coming up in odd places and odd times before these events happen. It's very strange, and I just don't know how you can just hand wave it all away as a coincidence. I don't know how so many unique, weird searches in a certain narrow time frame from a certain place in the world can just be a coincidence,
And from Convict Conservative, jump in here, because you went down, and Matt, I think you got your mic open, brother. And Gideon, same with you, brother. You guys got to keep your mics muted. Yeah. Convict Conservative, jump in here, brother. You had something to add about these search results too. You went down a little bit different of a rabbit hole. You came across a couple other things. What was that?
Yeah. So when I watched Baron's content,
You know, a couple of names came to mind, one of which was Phil Lyman. And Phil Lyman also came up on this Google trend search for Israel pre-September 10th, which at the time the shot was taken, you see him basically allegedly looking like he's celebrating. I think his name is like David Spagru. I don't know how to really pronounce it.
That's the guy that Candace is trying to locate, right?
Okay, so he, interestingly enough for him, he was being searched in February and July in Israel and one time in August in Egypt, which I found pretty weird too. So he was being looked at in Egypt. I actually just did a post on my page about his. He was looked up one time during August for Egypt. So, you know, bringing up the spy plane situation, you know, that's kind of, you know, like you said, we don't really know what this is all about, but why these no-named individuals would be there'd be such a broad interest in looking up their names in these regions. It's just something's up with it. There's a lot of people with the same connections and the same searches in the same areas. It's weird. And then you see that David, he put out a statement, basically, you know, his testimony of that day and him explaining why he gave the reaction he gave, and he's reading from a computer screen, so it's like he's not even giving a genuine testimony like, I was at this event, this happened. He's reading basically a prompt that somebody gave him to read. That's what I interpret from it, because if I'm somewhere and something happens, I don't need to read it off of a screen. I could just give my account of that day, you know?
And you know, remember when that TPUSA a volunteer employee, like the day of, was giving his testimony of what happened, and then some other guy runs up to him and just like jumps in front of him and shuts him up, grabs him and shuts him up and tells him to stop talking. You know, we don't know exactly who that guy is or what he was doing there. Candace has been doing an investigation on him as well. But to your point, it was very raw. He was saying, this is what happened. This is what I saw. It was right off the dome, right off the cuff, just saying what he saw. And to your point, this guy, he's like just reading methodically this thing off of a computer screen. That's not how you give a first-person testimonial of something that you have just witnessed, right? To your point. It doesn't seem organic. It's
well, not only that, he also goes on about how my soldiers, like if you're trying to mellow everybody out about, hey, I'm just a regular guy, why does he keep saying, my soldiers? Remember that part?
Yeah, all very strange. And he said he was, and didn't he say that he was just trying to draw a distraction of the possible shooter or something?
It looks like he's trying to backtrack his fumble of being overly excited about what just took place.
Yeah, it looks like something like that, right? It's very strange. We have a hand, Gideon. What do you have?
Hi, Ryan. Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, excellent work. I'm an engineer. I'm working in collaboration with Matt Bowden. He goes by the handle @AudioFreak. We are assembling a body of evidence that actually would be able to pinpoint quite accurately the direction where the shot came from, based on audio analysis as well as vector analysis, different things. So in terms of, for us, we just go where the physics leads us. And we are quite close to be able to actually put together a really good, so especially if people want to follow Matt @AudioFreak _freak FREQ. He's put out a couple of videos already. I'm not much into the video side, making videos or whatever. Just quickly also to pivot on that chair thing, I had a good look at that. That's an optical illusion due to the design of the chair and the fact that the base of the chair, the feet, is actually just a bent silver rod, which could very easily create, both through the motion and the artifact of the video, the illusion that it went through the chair, although it actually slipped off. So in terms of the shooting, my main concern is imagine if you were in Tyler Robinson's shoes and you find yourself to be a patsy. You're 22 years old, don't know if he was part of an operation or not, but I think, when Candace comes out and say that shot was, certainly from the front, I think she's, due to her lack of knowledge in ballistics and a number of things, she can easily be manipulated, whoever feeds her information. So I'm trying to stick to what we can prove, and the physics don't lie. And especially with the audio, so Matt and I are busy building a 3-dimensional model where we can actually use the two microphones on the cameras that's used in different locations to actually determine the origin of the sound. We can pinpoint that quite accurately. And then I also did a vector analysis of the wound itself, and I believe that all of these bits of evidence will actually culminate into a very clear picture. So I just want to throw that out there, and hopefully within the next couple of days we would have our evidence packaged up in a very succinct format where we lay down what hypothesis we postulated, and then we drove it down and tested each one and see if the physics line up. So just there's a specific video. Zeb Boykin was the one that I think postulated that flash which is seen against the windows at the back of Charlie. I've done the ballistics analysis of that. It looks like that is a transonic vapor cloud, and it lines up with the other evidence. But we'll lay all of that out properly, because I think at the end of the day, if we can, beyond the shadow of a doubt, provide very compelling evidence based on the physics that the shot could not have come from the Losi building, then I think maybe we have a chance, one, to create some substance behind the information, and two, show that the FBI narrative is completely bonkers, that a 30-06 would, I mean, we all know the 30-06 would have taken pretty much his head off. That is just fact. And then the second thing is, you know, imagine you, Tyler, you're up and everybody's frothing at the mouth to give you the electric chair, and you know you didn't pull the trigger. So that whole storyline around which he was, you know, handed himself over and so forth, I've got a theory around all of that, but at this point in time, I don't like to speculate. I like to go where the evidence leads us. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate that, Gideon. So everybody give Gideon a follow if you want to see that. And Gideon, make sure you post that, and so we can take a look at that study when we're done. Just in terms of the patsy, just, you know, if they've been setting up Tyler Robinson to be a patsy, they likely have some kind of leverage on him, I would guess. Some kind of leverage that makes it difficult for him to be able to fully stand up for himself, perhaps. I would think that might be in play here. Also, I believe his lawyers are some people that have shown up in some of Baron Coleman's Google Trend searches. So, you know, we must remember, I think in the case of James Earl Ray, who allegedly shot Martin Luther King, he basically sandbagged James Earl Ray, and I think Saran's lawyer also sandbagged him. And so, you know, past trends aren't have leverage over. You know, what kind of legal defense is he going to get? Are his lawyers in the tank? Are they going to give a robust, rigorous defense of him? I don't know. We'll have to watch. These are things to watch for. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk to Gideon real quick about his sound analysis. I don't know if you've seen it, but there have been a few other ones. Have you seen the ones that are out there, just to compare and contrast?
Yeah, they all line up, mate. They all line up. So Too Smartsky did the first one that I saw, and I can't remember, Ryan, if you shared that. I picked it up from one of your posts. But yeah, so yeah, and also I've got video evidence of blood coming out of Charlie's right ear. And Zeb him and I were going a little bit forwards and backwards on that, and he came back and he's now agreed with me. So we've got different bits of evidence that all supports a certain element of it, and then outside of that, you know, the audio analysis, we can actually get really accurate stuff from the audio analysis. So yeah, we'll drop the stuff. If people have a look at my posts, I've dropped bits and pieces over time, and where I originally just did a vector analysis of the the wound. My hypothesis was there's no exit wound, and most people that has had experience with guns, I used to be a competition level shooter in my young years, grew up in South Africa, guns, worked in the arms industry back in the 90s. And I looked at that and I went, that's an exit wound. And definitely not from a 30-06. And so I postulated, I said, let's test the narrative. We can't see an entrance wound at the back of the head or the side. What if he was shot in the ear? Because that would explain why the earpiece flung out so violently, why the microphone was pulled up at that
There was no
point.
earpiece, Gideon. That was his necklace.
Yeah, well, look, that is, Zeb reckons it's an earpiece. I don't know. I only try and stick with things that I can prove. So, but my point is, if he was shot in the ear canal, then you would not see that entrance wound. But I took that hypothesis. Then I used.
But Gideon, how? I mean, like his body didn't move. There was no movement. There's nothing that indicates that he was shot from the right side.
We can actually prove that, but for me to now lay that out just in a discussion here is going to be much harder. I've got to show you guys the full 3D model we've built and the supporting evidence. But at the end of the day, the sound analysis would be the most concrete evidence. The rest will just then support simply that evidence. So again, for me, I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I'm just after the truth. And in relation to the possibility that Tyler was, I wonder, because he dropped out of his engineering school course very shortly after, and as far as I know, there's a CIA program called the CAI at the campus that he was, and I just wonder if he wasn't recruited and set up to become the patsy, if this was in the planning for a long time. I don't know, that's speculation, but I think at the end of the day...
I think we've learned that he did not go to UVU. He went to Utah State, or he was accepted to Utah State or something. He was not ever a student at UVU that we know of. I think that's right.
Yeah, there's a program at the university he went to, or the college he went to, not at UVU. So I agree with you on that. But those are all, lots of speculation. I think we can, just, at the end of the day, if we can disprove the FBI's narrative, then we can start looking for suspects and motives and all the rest of it. Because now we've got concrete evidence to back the fact that Juan Tyler couldn't have been the actual shooter. Because as far as I know, he also had a limp due to partial leg paralysis. And the guy running on the roof didn't look like he had a limp. I might be wrong, but that's just my observation.
All right, well, Gideon, we'll look forward to seeing your guys' full analysis, and the crowd, I guess, will be the judge. So looking forward to looking at it. I think it's important to not leave any stone unturned, and to look at all the data that we can. And some, like I said before, some of it will not be anything. Other things will be important, and it's just going to take time to sift through it and figure all that out. Matt, I think you wanted to respond to Gideon or say something about that.
Yeah, I just really do find it a little bit hard to believe. Also, if the shot's from the front and the bullet stops in the neck, that he would have not had a more violent kickback. It doesn't appear like his head moves backwards or his neck moves backwards, like almost at all in any of the pictures. So I think that's a little weird too. If it went through, that would be, wouldn't be dumping all of its energy directly into his spinal column, which you would think would whip his head pretty quickly back. But I was going to say something else, but I forgot what it was.
What do you think of it?
There's a new video. There's a new video. Let me know. I don't want to trip out on it if you guys already seen it. But there's a video I had not seen before of after the fact of what appears to be, could be the furry boyfriend, girlfriend walking through the campus. Have you seen this video yet or not?
I don't think I have.
On a cell phone, they say acting suspiciously with a cell phone. I need to look at it more. If you haven't seen it, I'll look a little deeper into it and I'll get it over to you guys.
All right. By the way, Lance Twiggs and the boyfriend, another person showing up in these early Google Trend searches. So more suspicion. Live, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Sam. I'll be as brief as I can. Edward Snowden, when he took out files out of the NSA computer and spoke to reporters shortly after that, was asked by a reporter, and the reporter said, "What is the biggest disclosure that you made that nobody's heard about?" And his answer is that Americans' private records are given to Israeli intelligence. That's his answer. I put it down in the purple balloon. It's about a 53-second video of it, Edward Snowden saying that. And he didn't just say it, by the way. He actually dragged out of the NSA computers the 5-page agreement that was signed by the director of the NSA and one member of Israeli intelligence. I repeat, Edward Snowden was asked his biggest disclosure that nobody ever heard about, and he said that it's Americans' private records are given over to Israel. He also added that they are unredacted, unminimized, raw signals intelligence. And so I'm going to put the 5-page agreement.
And I believe that's been corroborated live. That's been corroborated since then, that they do receive raw intelligence data, like just straight up, like no filters, no scrubbing, no redactions.
Absolutely. And
so to your point, like if they wanted to identify, they know who's on watch lists. They know who's, psychological evaluations, watch lists, stuff they're saying in Discord chats and chat rooms on the internet. All of this signals intelligence is being captured, and they have access to all of it. So if they want to engineer something, find a patsy, get people to participate in a plot, they can get leverage on them, they can groom them, they can identify people with a predilection for committing violence. They can do all of these things with the intelligence that they're gathering from the United States, because they have access to all of it.
I appreciate that. You just took it a step further. That's exactly how they could know a lot about the psychological dispositions of people. I'll just add one other point. I'm the only guy who has this video on social media. Happy to share the video with anybody of Snowden saying this. And I posted it a few years ago, and I noticed that it got 0 comments. If you see any comments below the video, those are some of my friends. It's got almost 0 comments, very minimal distribution, until Ryan Matta last month was shared it. He actually shared it on his space, and it got the attention of about 1,700,000 people in 3 days. But until Ryan Matta did that, almost nobody on X got to hear about it. It could possibly be the most censored video when you consider the critical importance of the information for Americans and what's going on in Gaza and Israel, and the fact that we're all talking about it. It could very well be, the video par excellence that they're working on censoring. And I guess everybody here knows that Elon has 2 former IDF people managing trust and safety. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Live. So everybody go check that video of Snowden out. I've seen the video. People have talked about this passing of our raw signals intelligence to Israel. That's gone around for a while now.
And Sam, I'll put the 5-page contract up too, which they used to justify the illegal activities violation of the 4th, and then the transfer to a foreign nation. I'll put the 5 pages up. If anybody knows how to take those 5 pages and run them into an AI, the AI could recreate the same type font, the same thing, and not for creating a fake document, but because the ones that Snowden disclosed, I guess they've been photocopied quite a bit, and they've lost some of the resolution, and it would be really great if it was easier to read. But I'll put it in about 2 minutes. You'll see me post it. And by the way, the NSA director at the time was Keith Alexander, General Keith Alexander. Guess where he is today? He should be in jail, of course. Guess where he is? He serves on the board of Amazon as we speak. Thank you all. I'll step down.
Yeah, wow. I think, Matt, you remembered what you wanted to say.
Oh, no, I was talking about that other video and whether you guys had seen it or not. But I would like to know if there was any way we could find anybody who is super technologically savvy that would be able to figure out if these internet searches would have any kind of metadata, or if there's any way to get the full, like, the URL or whatever.
I don't believe there is. You can't get like a specific IP address. Yes, now Google would have that. Right? This is why I say, like, if we had a real FBI in a real country, then we would go get that. Right? They'd go get that. They'd figure that out. But I don't think anybody's.
So it does exist. And they still have it.
And what's actually happening is they're erasing this stuff out of Google. What's actually happening is stuff is getting erased out of Google Trends. That's what's actually happening. Many people have verified this now, that searches that used to work now no longer work, right? So that's what's actually happening. So somebody actually is listening to our Google Trends suggestions, and they're going and scrubbing it rather than investigating it. that's what's happening.
Isn't that special?
Yeah, right. Like, go figure, right? Ian, Malcolm, welcome to space. What did you have to bring us today?
Yeah, I suppose I don't want to say nothing on Charlie Kirk, but I mean, you guys are hammering that one and clearly have researched it far more than I have in some of these specificities. The one thing I would add, just because talking about the signal intelligence is just kind of the overall subversion of this entire system in cahoots with who, which was just so perfectly demonstrated not only through Trump and kind of this ongoing dialogue that he has with Netanyahu over in Israel, but also the media fawning all over the two of them and the fallout that's been accompanied by it. And you've got Time Magazine.
I recorded one. This one I'm going into right now is a live. Well, if it'll let me. There we go. This is a live space ongoing, and this is my morning show. So.
I had a crazy dance here. What's that? Am I cutting out?
You are not cutting out, sir.
Okay. Then it must have been Rush. Rush, I'm throwing you speaker and co-host. And that's just what we did, because we just got 20 people requesting to come up here. Thank God. I've been waiting.
He just popped back up on the panel, so hopefully he connects here in a second.
All right.
Usually takes them a minute or two.
Well, thank you guys for coming up on the panel and letting us know.
I have you loud and clear, General. I have Rush loud and clear. However, I think your comms between yourself might be bad.
All right. Well, no, I think it's just Rush. When he tries to take co-host, sometimes it happens almost every show. He has to go out and come back like 2 or 3 times. So that's all right. He'll be back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I heard General fine. It was just Rush that was cutting in and out.
All right.
Sorry about that, guys.
Morning, Rush.
Good morning, everyone. A beautiful ethnic American here. It's a pretty exciting Columbus Day yesterday. I forgot to put my Columbus Day post out yesterday morning. I forget about that day now that they've tried to change the name of it. I mean, but this is all by design. They want us to feel defeated and stop celebrating the holidays that we celebrated in the past. But I feel like that's coming back. I feel like most Americans are saying Happy Columbus Day in public.
I'm so non-brainwashed. We're trying to change it.
And I'm not joking, guys. I'm dead serious. Like, that's what the left did to get us to stop saying this stuff, right? They bullied us and tried to bully us into saying Happy Holidays, tried to bully us into saying Happy Indigenous Day. Well, we're not taking it. We're going to bully them back by saying Merry Christmas. We're going to bully them back by saying Happy Columbus Day. We're going to start bullying them back. We are going to impose our will onto them, and we don't care, because that's the American way, right? Be the stereotypical American loudmouth and let them know Merry Christmas. It's coming. The season for that is coming, so it's worth having that conversation. But yeah, you got to fight back, and don't let them push any of that woke nonsense designed to destroy our ethnic identity. We won't have it. We don't accept that. We're done with their nonsense. But yeah, you had a great post, Rush. Do you want to throw that up there? Rush, you came in after I put it up there, but Anna Paulina Luna had a pretty damn base post yesterday on Columbus Day. She said, "Conquered, not stolen." It's up there in the jumbo. So Florida's representing pretty good recently. I even had to agree with goddamn Randy Vine yesterday over Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's how it's going this week. I don't know. It's going that way. Florida's just belting them out there. They're belting out all the zingers.
General, did you saw post from White House about Columbus Day?
No, I didn't see it.
I sent you back channel.
All right, we'll put it up in the jumbo. We love our White House accounts, our Homeland Security accounts, ICE. I love those accounts. DHS. They're my favorite accounts on here.
I put.
You guys are laughing at that, but
everyone has to go back one to see. I didn't see that one. It's got Donald Trump compared to Christopher Columbus. I mean, Columbus Day is a historic day in America because we've always kind of celebrated it. And it was kind of like the founding of America Day kind of celebration. I really don't know a lot of facts about Christopher Columbus because there are a lot of people like, well, he didn't even discover America. He found Puerto Rico and all these things. But it's pretty funny. Donald Trump is the ultimate narcissist. So I love that the people that work for him play into that.
I voted for him. You're a slowpoke, man. You jumped in too late, Frank. Sorry. You coming in like a slowpoke. If you would have been quick, I would let you go. Don't be a slowpoke. That's why I voted for Trump, because he's a huge narcissist. I love that about him. And I'll tell you, I say it all the time. You can always trust a narcissist to be a narcissist every single time. But politicians, you never know what you're going to get with a politician. But yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, I got a quick fun fact. Where I'm from, the little island of St. Croix, used to be called Ai by the Arawaks and the Caribs. And it is... There's a small part of the island that has a natural, beautiful bay with a deep channel going through it. Also a good surf spot, but it's called Salt River. It's actually a national park. Columbus came ashore there. It's the only American land on record that he's touched. Guys asked, they got pelted pretty hard by arrows, so they rowed back to the boat. But it's known as Cabo de las Flechas, which is the Cape of the Arrows, and it's on the back of a quarter, the quarter coin.
Base. Yeah, no, this is our history. I mean, Washington, D.C. is Washington and Columbus to commemorate Christopher Columbus and George Washington together, the District of Columbia. So, yeah, it is what it is. The tree man. What the hell is your profile picture? Yeah, hand up, Tree.
Yeah, man. So my profile picture is the tree of Western kind. That's all the different countries that white people exist in and created, and that represents all of our founding stock coming into common roots. And I wanted to point out, kind of on that regard, that when they give us that slur of indigenous people of America. America didn't exist until white men created it, forged it out of mostly barren wilderness. Every ounce of infrastructure, from roads bridges, the railroads, power, water, telephone, and cable. Every single bit of it. All the buildings that are taller than a wigwam are our creation. So when they try to insult us by saying Indigenous Peoples Day, I tell them they go fuck themselves, because we, the white man, are the Indigenous Americans, God damn it.
Yeah. True story. You know, I asked them one time, I said, what'd you guys build here? Like, if we look back, like, what proof do you even have that you were here? Like, there's no pyramid, there's nothing here. And you know what that jackass told me? They built a mound of dirt. That's all they can point to. They built a mound of dirt. And I'm not lying. I swear to God. Hand on the Bible, swear to God, the guy told me a mound of dirt. That's what they got. That's the only thing that they have to stand on business over is a mound of dirt. Holy shit. I didn't even know what to say. I bust out laughing.
You can do that in a day in an excavator.
Yeah, it's just, how do you even respond to that other than just laugh? Like, you've been here for thousands of years and the only thing you have to show for it is a mound of fucking dirt? My God. You know?
Not one permanent structure bigger than a mound of dirt. Not one single permanent structure.
Well, that's their standard response. Just like I knew when we had people coming in here over the weekend and asking the FBAs what white people could do for them, I immediately knew their response was going to be reparations. And then two of them repeated it. And then they blamed me for setting their mindset on that path. But the mound of dirt thing is a standard response. I was a little bit surprised when I heard the first guy respond to you, General. But since then, I've heard multiple black thinks they're Indians say that it's the mound of dirt is what they created. It's their standard response. It's pretty funny. But it's the fatigue seems to be reaching all-time highs with that. I mean, we had the discussions here over the weekend, and then there just seems to be attack after attack. There was the attack in Australia of a Down syndrome elderly woman being beaten by a group of black teens. There's the recent video out of Kentucky that doesn't have a lot of context where a couple of teens are beaten by a group of teen white females are beaten by a group of
you don't get to get away this quick.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We've been running a poll for the last 3 days. Well, Rush started this shit like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago with Netanyahu. What's going to happen with Netanyahu? What's going to happen with Trump? Is Trump going to kiss the wall? That was the big talk, right? Everybody was curious. Was Trump going to kiss the wall? Did he kiss the wall? No, he didn't. To our surprise, he did not kiss the wall, which is pretty base. I gotta say, I'm a little bit happy about that. What's your take on that, Rush, after you running that poll and asking people over and over for the last 2 weeks?
Well, yeah, I think the poll was for pulling out the chair, and he didn't pull out the chair for Netanyahu either. And in regards to the wall, though, I think a lot of us were saying that we didn't think he would kiss the wall on this trip. Whether he did it or not, they wouldn't videotape it and make a spectacle out of it because they know how bad the optics look right now. I mean, but he didn't save any favors in the optics ring yesterday in that speech, the way he was like calling out Miriam Adelson and pointing at her. I mean, it was pretty crazy. But he didn't go kiss the wall. I definitely agree with that. How does everyone feel about that trip to Egypt? Do you think it was successful? Do you think there is peace in the Middle East now? It looks like all the Gazans are walking home. Fox News is spreading it. Peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, actually, it would be curious to hear from Ivy if she had, because they're going to show a lot more than what we get over here. I haven't seen anything about it. Like, I saw Trump sign something in Israel, but I didn't see him sign anything in Egypt yesterday. I guess I wasn't paying attention to the news.
First of all, tomorrow Netanyahu needs to go to court. So every time when he needs to go to court, something happens. So maybe now he will bomb Lebanon more heavily. So he will say, no, there is war in Lebanon, so I cannot go to the court because tomorrow he's supposed to go. And Trump asked president to pardon Netanyahu, like, champagne and cigar, that's nothing. When Trump blast, I don't think that he blast Miriam. He really, he just talking. He went from the script and he's just spelled that out, and everybody knows that she's the one who put him on all this situation to recognize all this bullshit and everything. The sign was between Turkey, Qatar, Egypt, and United States. So it was not signed by Israel, and it was not signed with anybody else. I don't know. I'm telling you guys, I'm still hearing things that it doesn't look good in the short future. He did it what he needs to do. Optic. He's a peacemaker. He did it right. Now, if anything happened, I hope he can have said, I did my part and I'm not participating anything in the Middle East. But I don't know how he can do that, because he is slaver to his donors, even if these IT guys or Israeli, and most of them are Jewish. What happened, and all this, nobody from this European leader not supposed to be there, and what he did to Prime Minister of UK, it was I mean, totally humiliation of British people. He's supposed to like coming to the Trump. I don't know if you saw that, and Steimer's supposed to like be happy if he will say a couple of words, and Trump just turned his back. And he also said that I like most of these guys here. I don't like some of them, but I will not tell you who they are. So he was optic. And you have a FIFA guy who's run FIFA there. What he's doing there, what his mission in this peace treat. So I'm not sure he will hold on because it's Netanyahu, and he has his government, and they will push, and Netanyahu life depends on continue wars. When Israel said we are for peace, be sure that they are ready for the war.
All right, base. And so you guys, that's the deal with the rundown over there. Rush, do you want to touch on this situation in Kentucky? I put it up in the Jumbotron if you want to see. It's absolutely insane. And it's absolutely infuriating. This is just to the point now where, what are we doing, guys? Are we going to let these people just keep beating the hell out of our daughters and raping them and murdering them, and letting the system just let these guys keep doing the same thing without any repercussion whatsoever? I mean, it's up there. You guys can see this. This is just, how many times does this have to happen? They keep targeting our daughters. Are we gonna just keep sitting here and saying that civil rights is okay? Because all civil rights are, it's a license for blacks to attack whites and get away with it, right? That's all we've seen come out of that. And that's got to be the message going forward. Civil rights is the license for blacks to attack whites with impunity. And that's all we've seen come out of the civil rights, is massive amounts of degeneracy and endless attacks on whites. But yeah, Rush, go ahead, jump in there if you're there.
Yeah, I was just gonna that them using weapons with bayonets affixed to the end of their weapons, helmets on the top of their heads, forcing school children to desegregate. And then less than 60 years later, here we are. This is the result. Groups of black teens standing over a young white girl and forcing her to say something. I couldn't understand what they're forcing her to say, but those were serious shots. I mean, they're kicking her in the stomach, punching her in the head. The one that's over punching her in the head, I assume it's a girl because they're all girls and this looks like some kind of sports team or something, but it looked like a boy. I mean, it was huge. Beast over hitting her in the head. Not a lot of information off this story. The video was released yesterday, or not released yesterday, kind of got big yesterday where a lot of people saw it. So I assume it was probably released over the weekend sometime and it just now is getting traction. But I think this is going to be a big story. Once we find out what's behind this and why these girls were being bullied at school and why they didn't tell their parents or why authorities haven't done anything about it, is going to be very interesting. I mean, because both of those girls just seemed like they were going to accept it. You know, both of those girls that were getting kicked. It's crazy. And it was completely racial bias. All the people kicking and hitting were all black, and both the girls that were being kicked and forced to say something as they were punched and kicked were white. So I mean, I want more details. If anyone can tell what they're saying in that video, that's I'm having an issue with what they're trying to get her to say. It sounds like someone's name. So it's crazy. I mean, our kids shouldn't have to live like this. You know, our society was never meant to be like this. You know, our grandparents and parents and even us, we grew up in high trust, safe societies, many of us. And the fact that it'll never be an option for any of our children, you know, I mean, no matter where you move to in this country, you know, we'll never have that high trust side for our children and our youth again. And it's pretty blackmailing unless we can wake up our people with events like this. So yeah, please share this out, add a comment, retweet it. We have to get this out there and we have to wake up all the brainwashed MAGA that says, oh, well, multiculturalism, you know, it's a part of America. It's not, never was. It was a lie in the 1960s after 250 years of assimilation, and it's just as much of a lie then as it is today. You know, we have to take back our nation.
No, you need to put this post, everybody, in Harman Dillon account, just blast on her account. She's the one who represents American civil rights, so she needs to be blast.
I mean, and they would say, "Oh, if you didn't make any, the person didn't make any charges, so it's on them, you know. Let the legal system play out." But you know, it's the fact that a lot of our youth and people in our society are afraid to make charges against black people. Oh, be deemed racist. I'm not sure that their reasoning for not making charges on this, because there are no police charges. Nothing's coming out of Kentucky. It's being said that that's at high school. You really can't find any information other than like some black school shooter from the 20s or from 2020 or something. So I mean, it's not a lot going on there. But Twiddle, jump in there, buddy. Good morning. Good to see you.
Hey, good morning, Rush, General, panel. I think you covered that. I was looking up where you were talking about it. The only things I could really find was that it happened somewhere between late August and early September. But yeah, no press releases, nothing on the school's website or the Covington Police Department. It's just it's funny, like these come out like 3 months later, almost when needed. But yeah, there's no reports at all, nothing. Can't find anything. So Ivy's idea, sharing it on Harmy Dillon's page, I think is a good idea. Or at least getting somebody at the DOJ, whether it's local or not.
It happened during when the CRS was operational, so that's probably why. Now the CRS is not there to protect it. Now it can be exposed.
Yeah, I'm not too far from Kentucky. I'd go over there and interview some people. But yeah, I couldn't find nothing even with the Grok search. It's just it's very strange. So we do keep seeing this. It's almost it's like I hate to say it's viral, but we see this almost on a daily basis now. It's absolutely just disgusting. And like that guy who had his 6-year-old stabbed, he said if I ever see him on the street, he's dead. And the guy did it because they let him out. So whether it's justice one way or another, yeah.
This is what we can do. You guys, everybody go up there and like and share that clip out. And hopefully somebody in that area will respond in the comments with some information. We'll try to get it out to as many people as we possibly can. And then if somebody that's from that can chime in and let us know, and then we can start a conversation with them in the comments or try to get a hold of them that way. So yeah, guys, just blast this one out there, like and share it out, and then we'll see if we can get a hold of somebody in that area that sees it and comments on this, and then we can try to go from there.
I hate to chime in, but I'm actually from Kentucky, and the superintendent of that school is black. So of course, you know how that's going to go. But I'm not finding out much about them either, but I can tell you this much about Kentucky. Men love to hunt. And I don't know, I'm not familiar with that area, but I know for a fact myself, because this is something that happened to my daughter. She was on the school bus and one boy sat down beside her and put his arm around her neck, and he held a knife to her neck while the bus driver was looking through the rear view mirror and smiling. And 3 other boys came up and started filling my daughter up. And she was terrified and didn't fight back because she had a knife to her throat. So she comes home from school and she's crying her eyes out. She wouldn't even talk about it till late that night. The next morning, I got on the bus myself with a baseball bat. And I said, I want to break every effing knee on this bus. Tell me who did it, who touched my daughter, I'll kill you. And I pointed the ball bat at the bus driver, and I said, I'm going to have your asses fired today. And I did. I got off the bus because nobody was talking. I went straight to the police station, told them what happened, and they got the boys on the bus. When they stopped the bus, the kids scattered and went into people's houses to hide. But they found them and they brought them in, but they didn't do anything to them but give them a good tongue lashing. The judge did. But I went to the superintendent's office and I got the bus driver fired that day. And you know what? I was not arrested for threatening anybody. That's how you do it in Kentucky.
Well, they can't.
Was your judge black?
They can't.
No.
If they would have come after
the judge
you,
was not black.
yeah, if they would have come after you, then it would have been an actual case. And that's what the CRS does. The CRS comes in and tries to bury these cases. And so that's in those cases where even if you threaten them, they won't come after you because they're trying to hide the case. They don't want it to get put on blast all across the country like this is getting done. But again, guys, like Rush said, they sent the 101st Airborne into high schools, put bayonets on their guns, put the guns to the back of the heads of high school children, and force them at gunpoint into these situations. Like, we're living through this at gunpoint by the government. The military did this at gunpoint. And if somebody has the picture of that and wants to reply in my comments there of what that looked like, there's pictures of it. You know, the media was running around taking pictures of the military having their guns pointed at the back of the heads of high school children and forcing them into this situation where this is what we're dealing with today. So remember that this was forced onto us at gunpoint. We didn't choose this. Okay, so that's the most important thing that people can really start to realize. And that's why I said the civil rights is a license for blacks to attack whites. And they have the government and the military on their side. The military pointed guns at white children's heads and forced them into this situation. That's what the government did. And that's why these children today are dealing with what they're dealing with, because the government became treasonous and forced these children at gunpoint to be attacked regularly on a daily basis. This is civil rights, guys. Every single degenerate thing that we're dealing with in our country comes from the civil rights. Everything. These attacks on children is civil rights. The CRS, civil rights. Whatever, you name it. It all links back to civil rights. Every single thing that we're dealing with in our society, the reason why we have to live around these people, civil rights. Everything. And civil rights is the number one satanic tool that they've used against white Americans to force us into these situations. Civil rights is satanic. It is the birth child of the devil.
Well,
yeah, Tristan, go ahead.
Well, I've been all over Kentucky. Well, first off, sorry I sound so atrocious. I'm a bit stuffed up. You know, it's that time of the season. You guys got to take care of yourself. Get your B12, your vitamin C. You don't want to be in the hospital because they create patients. They don't create solutions, you know. But it's just so brazen that they're doing this in Kentucky, because we're not fully into the surveillance state yet. There's not cameras on every tree out there. So it's just crazy that they're doing this so out in the open. And this all ties back into Obama whenever he, you know, implemented Section 8 housing even into the rich areas. It's just crazy. Yeah, this is all happening at gunpoint.
Well, it's at gunpoint by the military. Our own military forced them at gunpoint. It's crazy. Rush, who's next with hands? I can't see hands.
I think it's truthful.
My bad, guys. I appreciate you on that. I was typing and then had to come back to unmute. Man, that's general. The way you guys are putting this stuff together, and the aspects. Have you guys, and not to beat a dead horse here, but have you guys done any kind of like educational shorts or anything like that can be kind of spread these nugget messages that are just absolutely pivotal? I mean, this is viral shit that you're talking about, and if condensed in a small way. I'm not telling you guys how to do it or anything, brother. I love seeing that stuff spread like wildfire.
Well, that's why we record the spaces, but nobody is taking it upon themselves to get in there and do it.
Please tap me in, coach. Hit me up. I'll do some chopping and mixing for you. That shit needs to go. That's good shit. I love that. Secondly, I mean, I just, again, am massively encouraging some form of communication and communal strategy for, we still have choices about where we live, guys. We can still come together and move into some of these places. It's hard. It's fucking expensive. It's ridiculously expensive, and it's getting harder. That gap is widening between, middle class is being eradicated, but, strategic positioning has always been a serious contributing factor to any battle strategy. And I'd love to see our people coming together, and I love what you guys are doing here, spreading that, but I'd love to see our people, having some way to connect. If you guys see people in here and you're, without doxing yourself completely, if there's a way for you to connect with people locally, Guys, now's the time to start doing that. This shit that you're hearing about is the tip of the iceberg. This is just the shit that we're hearing about. But we've got to start connecting with each other locally. We've got to start being strategic with where we're spending our time, our energy, and our money. We've got to fortify a little bit here because I do think that there's a countdown happening, as we're all seeing here. But just wanted to be encouraging with that. And also volunteer, General. I volunteer to help chop and mix some of the material here. Later, just hit me up.
Well, here you go. Go for it. I'm telling you right now, you can do it. That's the whole reason why we record the shows. But I mean, that's the problem. There's no running from this anymore. Since Obama put Section 8 in every single community, that's it. And now they're pushing this whole idea, oh, we need school of choice. If we do, keep those people in the goddamn ghettos. That's where they belong, because that's all that they produce. They come into our neighborhoods, and once you get 5 or 6 or 7 of them, then it turns into a goddamn ghetto. And now you have all your bikes start disappearing. All your lawn furniture starts disappearing. And yeah, that's what these people are. That's why they need to stay the hell away from us. And that's why we need to get rid of the Fair Housing Act. And again, the Fair Housing Act is connected to civil rights. We just need to go at the civil rights completely and demand that it become dissolved. Just like the CRS. Trump's trying to walk some of it back because he sees the trajectory that we're going down, that everybody is pretty pissed about all this. And we're getting to the good old boys' time. The time of the redneck is about to be upon us. And yeah, when that happens, there's not going to be any of these other people left if it gets to that point. There's nothing they can do to stop it. You know?
I was just watching, General. There was a spot. I got to figure out where it was, but it was a small community. They were interviewing some older folks, and they were saying that, man, they started shipping in these people into RV parks, and they literally were bragging, and it was black people, but foreign black people, even more foreign than what we're dealing with, and they were shipping them in to overthrow these small towns in the voting circles. Like on purpose. Like there's like these RV communities that they're shipping them into. I mean, these people were literally camped out in these small little towns where, I mean, everybody knows each other. All of a sudden there's these strange black people walking around, and there's a lot of them. And then they started bragging about how they were there to outvote and overthrow the local governments. And apparently it's my understanding that this is happening like all over these small town rural America right now. I'm going to try to do a little bit more digging on that. I just saw that this morning.
Well, yeah, that's not a surprise. They're doing it to every community in the whole country. That was Obama's whole thing. Put Section 8. And then who goes into the Section 8? It's all these illegal invaders. That's the majority of the people going in there. And then they start giving people vouchers to go into normal neighborhoods and start getting in there and pushing all their degeneracy and destroying the communities of our nation.
And they made it real attractive to investors for some of that Section 8. I've got some friends that were pretty involved in it. I mean, they cover downtime if you're gonna, say they fuck it up, well, they cover when it's under construction or reconstruction for maintenance. They pay you while it's down, while you're fixing it. I mean, it's literally, they paid off these property owners to go and start building these things too. It's ridiculous.
Well, that's that little, what's that little homosexual kid that they're trying to replace Charlie Kirk with? That
Freeland.
Yeah, that guy. That little faggot. His father made all his money building Section 8 and destroying the country with Section 8. And then the kid's flying around on a private jet. Well, whose private jet is that? It's his father's. who made a killing building out Section 8 and destroying our country, destroying all of our neighborhoods. And they want that kid to be the new Charlie Kirk. And of course, the pro-Zionist psychopath nut job is going to stand up there with a smile on his face after he helped destroy our country for the very people that he supports. And they made a killing off of it. But I mean, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene in support of this bullshit. So yeah, it's we're infested, and we got some things we're working on in the back channels, constitutionally, on how to handle some of this stuff. So yeah, we're gonna have to move on that. We're gonna have to move on it pretty quick before Trump completely enslaves the entire country with Palantir and his gun control, because that's what Trump is targeting, right? That's why Pam Bondi is going after the rifle associations, trying to get access to all of their members and supporters, because they want to target everyone who has a gun or supports the Second Amendment. That's what Trump is going after. Going after our Second Amendment, and he's sending to target the list of people who support the NRA and all these other gun organizations. Trump is very satanic on that front. So, and it's Pam Bondi with him doing it. So we got to be real careful, and we got to start educating people on their constitutional rights, how to dissolve a government according to our Constitution, how to remove a government and replace it with people who are supposed to be there, and not people who are foreigners, like Ilhan Omar and all these other shitbags that have done everything they can to destroy our country. Because our founding fathers, they left us a very clear legal path on how to go up and remove a government and replace it. It is in our Constitution, and they don't teach it in schools because they don't want you to know. And who's writing the textbook? Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell of Mossad, a foreign nation. And who does Trump bend the knee to? Mossad, a foreign nation. So we got to be just real careful and start preparing for that front, because this Palantir bullshit that they're trying to shove down everyone's throat as an excuse to kick illegals out of our country, that's total bullshit. We know that they're not interested in actually kicking the illegals out, as Marjorie Taylor Greene clearly stated. Even someone like her isn't interested in removing all these foreigners. So when that happens, when we have no one left to represent us, it's taxation without representation, and the government has to go. It has to be replaced, and legally, not in some illegal, wild manner, but constitutionally legal. But Rush, who's next on the answer?
I apologize, guys. I haven't been.
Tree had his hand up.
Yeah, Tree's had his hand up for the longest. Yeah, go ahead, buddy. Jump in there.
Thank you, Rush. Love you, brother. I was 10 years old watching these soldiers put guns to the back of white kids' heads, wondering how on earth they got these soldiers to do that. And the truth is, they did it with an anti-white social morality. That is something I talk about fairly often. And everything hinges on that anti-white social morality, that everything bad that happens to white people is either not happening or we deserve it. I see that in so many things. And, it's great that the CRS is eliminated, but the people are still there. I don't think that it's going to affect a whole lot for the same reason that cravening and running off and trying to have white intentional communities and white flight doesn't work. But first, sooner or later, you run out of white place to white flight too. I'm in New Hampshire now, and I can tell you that it's just a matter of time because everybody around me is anti-white. Every single white person here, just about, is anti-white to one extent or another because they've never had to have their child beat up like this poor girl in Kentucky. So they don't understand what they're welcoming in with open arms. They've been programmed their entire lives by everything they've consumed in media, telling them that anti-whiteism isn't happening. We are not being victimized on the basis of being white. And if it does happen, well, that's just because we deserve it. It's retributive justice. No amount of changing laws, no amount of cravening off anywhere, no amount of changing the new Constitution is going to matter until the people, a percentage of white people, decide that we've had enough and we decide to end the anti-white immorality. That's the key. We have to get white people to understand that we do not deserve to be victimized on the basis of our birth, period. And once you get that social morality change, where white people decide that they've had enough and that we are not to be victimized, everything else will flow from there. The right people will start to be elected. The people who won't hold guns to the back of our children's head and force them to go to school with monsters that want to ground and pound them to say something disgusting. We have to change the social morality, guys. Everything else, no amount of deportations, which isn't going to happen. You're never going to deport enough people to make that big a difference in our lifetime. All that stuff is just band-aids. We have to get white people to understand we, A, are being victimized, and that B, it is immoral to victimize us. And I know we have some really smart guys here, and I'm not trying to counter-signal or tell anybody that their thinking is wrong. I think we're all kind of on the same page in this group. And I love you guys all very much. Our children are just as valuable as anybody else's. I have children, I have grandchildren. I do not want my grandchildren growing up in a white erased hell where they have minorities that are beaten and grounded, pounded by any other race. I don't care if they're black or I don't care what race they are. Anyone that's anti-white is going to beat the living snots out of my grandkids and make them until they scream a word. I say no, and we all have to say no and get our friends to also say no. General, you have a great audience, brother, and I know that you are a master at networking, and that's the word that we got to spread, brother. And you've been doing such a great job over the past months that I've been listening to you, man, getting that word out there that we don't have to live like this. We will change the social morality. We will anti-whiteism. And that I see it in the future. That tide is shifting. People are waking up. And, thankfully with Elon buying X and that information like this story here that would never have seen the light of day otherwise, these stories that happen every day. Every single day there's an Irina Zarutska. Every single day there's a girl, one of our daughters of the West in a school, getting beat up for being white. This isn't even a rare occurrence, but these occurrences, thanks to Elon buying X and getting the word out here, more and more of our people are waking up, brother, and we're going to recapture our destiny.
And I'll land there, brother.
What did you do with yours yesterday?
Yeah, also General needs to be careful with his account because yesterday he posted one. He has post and they flagged them, but the same post was done by Jack Poss or whatever his name is, and he was not flagged at all. So General, be careful with your account.
Yeah, that's the thing. People don't want us to speak, right? They don't want white people to speak. The Jews don't want us to speak. They bought TikTok to prevent us from speaking. The blacks don't want us to speak. The Indians don't want us to speak. The feather and the dots. Any minority on the planet does not want us to speak. That's the whole point. They're doing everything they can to try to silence us. Netanyahu already said he's going to target us. He's going to war with us. And this is how they do it, by start trying to target everybody that they can who speaks up against their degeneracy and trying to erase us in our own homelands. You know, like, and this isn't just happening in America. I brought it up last week how at Cambridge University they're going to start teaching that Anglos, Norse, and Celts never existed. Well, that's the first stage of genocide. This is how Jews genocide people out, right? They said the same thing. You can go and type in, say it all the time, you can go type in the top, Palestinians don't exist, Palestine doesn't exist. And then what did they do? They go ahead with their ethnic cleansing. And yesterday was Columbus Day. We made our Columbus post. And how many people were in the comments of everybody's Columbus post saying you're on stolen land? This is the narrative pushed by the Jews at university. You have Jews at Harvard University teaching a course called Abolishing the White Race. That's called white genocide, right? That's genocidal. I've posted videos on this of all these professors at all these universities talking about genociding white people. So it does start at the education level, and they've taken over the educational institutions, and Trump has done nothing to stop that. In fact, Trump keeps wanting to boost these educational institutions, if you want to call them. They're more like indoctrination centers with all these foreigners, which they charge 4 times as much money for them. So they get a bunch of money so that they can keep running these courses teaching about genociding ethnic Americans out of America. And we see it. And a lot of these accounts even that come into our comment sections and post this stuff, they're Israeli bots, they're Saudi bots, they're Indian bots, and then they'll just do mass reportings on people that they're trying to silence. They're manipulating the algorithms in order to silence people speaking up about the truth. And all we do is we advocate for our ethnic group. Grok itself, DEI yesterday did a search with Grok, and Grok said, yes, ethnic Americans have every right to advocate for their group of people. And it went in and used the NAACP and all these other ADL as examples of how these other groups have been advocating for themselves, and that we have the same right. However, we don't. Go try to find one single scholarship for university students that exists for white ethnic Americans only. You will not find one. You can go ask Grok how many exist. The total is absolutely 0. But for every other ethnic group on the entire planet, they have endless. They have endless amounts. But for us, we cannot, because of the ADL and the NAACP and all these other institutions have tried to demonize us and prevent us from having our own scholarships even. Something as simple as a scholarship for university. And then you have people like Vivek Ram Scammer trying to ram his scam right up your ass, telling us we're just stupid and lazy, when we're the ones who work full-time jobs while we go to university just to survive it, and we come out with $100,000 to $200,000 in debt, and we're competing with these black people who have zero debt because they had all the scholarships given to them. The Indians, all the scholarships given to them. The Mexicans, all the scholarships given to them. White Americans are the only ones who have to do everything based on merit. We don't have access to minority grants. We don't have access to minority loans. The Indians own 90% of hotels in rural areas, 90%. And how do they buy them? They buy them with government grants and government loans, small business administration loans designed for minorities to come in and purchase them. We don't have access to that. We can't compete with that because they're using our own tax dollars against us at every single level while they erase us. You got Marjorie Taylor Greene coming out there and saying, we can't deport all the illegals because I made $21 million off of construction and I need these cheap labor to keep making money in my construction business. Well, who pays for this cheap labor? Who pays for their free rent, their food stamps, their health care, their education? I'll tell you who does. We do. Marjorie Taylor Greene's not paying for that. We are paying for that so that she can have cheap labor. So now we're paying for all these illegals to have all this free stuff so corporations can have cheap labor. Plus we're paying for all the people going on to welfare because they can't get jobs because they won't hire them. So we're getting hit twice on both ends of the candle so that these corporations and people like Marjorie Taylor Greene can have slave labor. And then when we go to university to try to compete, we have to pay full price with zero scholarships that are designated for us. We have to pay our whole way. And then when we get out, they say, no, we're not going to hire you because you're too expensive. We're going to hire the Indian from India who has zero school debt, and they can come here and live off of government programs and take our jobs. It's crazy. And this is what the corporations are doing to the American people, and that's why the American people are being obliterated. We're not their slave class anymore. It's the same thing with the blacks. When they went in and they were done with slavery, they stopped working and they went onto a welfare system because they were no longer needed. And now they want to tell us we're no longer needed. They just want to stick us on welfare. The problem is, who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to wipe us out of our own country? The corporations and the NGOs and politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's who's going to wipe us out. And then Marjorie Taylor Greene's dumbass goes out and says, well, I have children. I want a future for my children. As she hires all illegals. You know, it's just talk. These politicians are full of BS is what they are. But Andrew, you came up. If you can touch on some of the points you were talking about earlier in regards to, the government not interfering with peaceful assembly and how it's constitutional, or how it could be constitutional to remove a government that has become tyrannical or treasonous.
Yeah. So the gentleman that was speaking earlier, I think he said he was from New Hampshire. New Hampshire has one of the best state constitutions in the nation. And, you said a lot of things, General, and what I heard you say is, there's a lot of bad things going on, and you're right. But the people generally do this. Their mindset is, we got to get together, we got to get a bunch of bubbas together, and we got to go do stuff. But what we don't do is say, hey,
I'm going to swear under penalty of perjury to my fundamental rights at this government agent, at this trustee in government. So we have to get precise about targeting the one agent or the one trustee in government that is abrogating your rights. So we like to be very vague. We like to be general in, hey, we got rights, and hey, it's us against them, right? Instead of getting precise about making a claim, we like to make a complaint. And so that's what they've got us doing. They've literally, if your neighbor's dog comes over and bites your cat, you call the sheriff and file a formal complaint. What we don't do is file a claim of harm. So we have a right to the common law. It's literally a expressed right in our Constitution. But we don't understand what that means. We don't understand how to utilize that. So what our legislature has done, what our government's done, is got us into this idea that we have to make a complaint that was enacted by the legislature of your state. So literally the state has organized a way for you to bring a complaint in an organized manner to your county, right, to your government, so that maybe government can go on that complaint and take care of the bitten cat. So then that same statute offers a remedy for that bitten cat. And that remedy may not be what you want. And it may be costly to get to there. It may be, you may have to go through these long, lengthy procedures called an administrative hearing to get redress for that issue. And it wouldn't even be a redress. It would just be getting, you would be getting a remedy from that statutory provision. So we have been trained literally to complain about what's happening to us instead of making claims of right. So we have a right to life, liberty, and property. Your justices just this last year in Wilson v. U.S. out of Hawaii said there's no such thing as a second-class right. So your right to life, being the ultimate right, is equal to your right to liberty and your right to property. So when the gentleman in New Hampshire said, hey, we've got a lot of nonsense coming into our county, a lot of foreigners doing a lot of things that we don't want, what we do is we go to our township and we hoot and holler and we yell at our board members. What we don't do is write on a affidavit the fact that we have the right to say we have a right to be peaceful and to be tranquil in our surroundings. We have a right to our property. We have a right to our liberties that we like in our neighborhood. And we are the arbiter of what is good and what is just and what is tranquil. Those in government are not the arbiter of that. Just because there are representatives, we give into this idea that they're just, once we hire them, once we elect them, we just let them go, and whatever they do, we hope that they represent what we want. Well, we have to go to our Bill of Rights. In that Constitution, New Hampshire, I guarantee you, if you drill down, you'll read somewhere in New Hampshire it says that gentleman has a right to instruct his representatives and that he has all political power. But we don't do that. We don't get that specific and say, hey, I'm the guy in New Hampshire. I'm using Article 1, Section 1. All political power is inherent in me. And I'm going to use Article 1, Section 3 to instruct you to not allow this nonsense to happen. Because government's purpose is to protect life, liberty, and property. We have to get precise, folks. We really do. We have to stop campaigning and doing it's politics, right? We're trained to think that politics brings remedy, and all it does is keeps us busy. Think about it. We're looking for evidence every day. These spaces, oh, this happened, that happened. Look at the evidence. This is the proof. This is the truth. But okay, do we not have enough truth and evidence already to go do something with it? How come we're not training ourselves how to get remedy in the law? How come we're not being lawyers? Literally, a lawyer is one trained in the law. And we don't do that. We don't have the discipline to say, hey, I'm going to read all 51 constitutions. I'm going to utilize my immunities and privilege clause that says I have the right, as Andy of Michigan, I have the rights in Michigan as I do in every other state. I can utilize every state constitution where I live right now. Because if my state constitution or my state government gets tyrannical and they alter unlawfully alter my constitution in the state, I'm going to go to Kentucky. I'm going to go to Tennessee. I'm going to use their enumerated rights and powers to claim my freedom and my rights where I live. That immunities and privilege clause is a safety net that our forefathers put in place, so that if your local government becomes tyrannical and alters the law, I'm quoting, by the way, with air quotes, if they make amendments to the law that the people didn't want, and this is what they've done. I mean, they literally do this. They get you to think that they can govern themselves. And the Constitution says the consent of the governed. And when I say the consent of the government, everybody in here probably thinks that means the consent of the governed is the people. The people consented to be governed. Well, that's not the truth. So when you swear an oath, when you take office, you are giving your consent to be governed by the people who have all political power and the right to instruct you. You literally have to consent to that, because otherwise you're one of the people and you cannot be told what to do with legislation. You are free with liberties and right to property that can never be legislated away. So it's really a simple concept, but our mind has been programmed to look at our authority in a completely opposite manner, which makes us the recipients of whatever government wants to do to us, instead of us, telling government what to do. And I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I appreciate your breakdown on that, Andrew. Hey, Slowpoke down there, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, New Hampshire, isn't their state motto "Live free or die"? It's pretty awesome. But that was good. That and again, laws that you don't agree with, that you don't speak up against, you're entering a tacit agreement by staying silent. And I posted out that girl getting beat up to Harmeet's page and said, "What say you?" And tagged her in it. That was also wild about the that you posted that cartoon. It was literally a cartoon with an Aztec, with a heart in his hand. Everyone knows about that history. But here's that slow creep of censorship, right? Things that are marked, not safe for work or whatever the hell they call it. And then also, I have a hard time seeing banners at the top now. Spaces like this that I go into, they're not there. So I have to search around. I have to go in notifications or what have you. Slow creep. The other thing I wanted to say when we were talking about that poll that Rush did, there's only one other president in recent history, and I have a meme somewhere. I'll try to find it, but there's only one other president that didn't go over there and kiss the wall in recent history, and we know what happened to him. So, yeah, I think Trump is playing a very careful game. It's so hard to really tell, what's going on. Things are getting weirder, and we shall see, I guess. And then that shooting that happened, I think it was on Saturday, maybe Friday. Was like a homecoming thing at a restaurant, I believe, somewhere in the South. I can't remember the name of the area. Of course, people are saying it sounded like automatic gunfire, which means probably a switch on a Glock. That wouldn't, nobody's. I doubt somebody's out there with, fully auto AK or something. But 20 people shot, 4 critically injured, 4 dead. But of course, they have an idea of who the people are that are doing it, but of course they're not saying it. So
they say, I just saw all 4 blacks.
Yeah, well, I could have guessed. And
they're terrorists.
Yeah, basically, and they're terrible shots, which is why 20 people were shot instead of the intended target. Unless they were just
a little bit of leeway. His wife is black, so just give him a little bit of leeway.
Yeah, well, I was going to bring that up too. If I'm ever around FBAs, and they give me crap, I always say, "Hey man, my wife's black," and then of course they start chipping out, and then I say, "But she wakes up every day thanking God for slavery, otherwise we wouldn't have met."
No, Frank, what you got to tell him is, I'm married to a black woman unlike you, and see their response.
Oh, even better. Yeah. And the joke at my school with my kids is, because they've got lots of different friends of different, ethnicities. And the joke is, oh, your dad stayed around because he's white.
Hey, as long as you raise them right, like this shit that General posted in the Nest, where they're beating these kids up in Kentucky, that shit is unacceptable.
Yeah, my kids are awesome. They're going to be good members of society, I think. And you can breed that out of them too. I doubt my daughter is very attracted to black guys. She seems to be more into the white guys, so we'll see.
It just means you were a good role model in her life, Frank. That's all. Hey, Tree, you had your hand up. Go ahead, jump in there.
Yeah, brother, I'm going to ask first, if you don't mind if I throw something up in the Jumbotron?
Well, that entirely depends on what you're trying to put up there.
Well, here, I'll throw it up, but I promise you it ain't nothing bad. So, talking about the whole Columbus Day thing, and this is interesting. This was just sent to me by another guy. He's in this group. He comes to my spaces too, the Hampshire Patriot. He lives here with me. Well, not with me, but here up in New Hampshire. And I don't know if you all know who Hannah Dustin is, or was rather. She was a white girl that was kidnapped by Indians way back in the day, and managed to assassinate her way to freedom by scalping a whole bunch of them. Well, there's a statue to her that now one of our Republican representatives wants to have this statue removed because, of course, it's offensive to the natives. And I just thought you guys might get a kick out of that. I haven't really had a chance to read the article too much yet, but this just goes to show that here we go, talking about nodes of power. Well, here's your anti-white right. So people who think that they're going to pick a particular side, whether it be Democrat or Republican, and you're going to get the same results either way. The anti-white left wants to white erase us from existence, and so does the anti-white right. They just do it slower. So I thought you'd get a kick out of that. I threw it up there, and of course, if you want to get rid of it, it's up to you. But check it out. It's yet another example of those death by 1,000 cuts, we get every day.
Here, I'll explain it like this. When they had slavery around, the slaves were very valuable, right? They were doing their work for them. They didn't want to kill their slaves or mistreat them. They wanted them to be able to work. Well, once they became obsolete, they throw them to the wayside, right? And the same thing happened with Americans now. They don't want Americans working, or ethnic Americans, as we state, because they have a new slave class. They have a new working class, which are all foreigners. And they will protect them to no end because that is their cheap workforce, right? They will do whatever it takes to protect their workers. who's going to be making them the most amount of money, which is cheap slave labor. Now, these people can come to our country, they'll work for 8 to 10 years, save up a good nest egg, and then they'll flee back to whatever third world country they came from, and they'll live like a king. However, Americans, we're stuck with America. We have nowhere to go. We have to pay full price for university. We have to pay full price for everything. We don't have any of these benefits any of these other demographics have. And yet, they don't even want to hire us when we go through our own system. So for example, like Harmeet Dillon, she was going to war with everyone in North Carolina. They wanted to pass a law that would allow every third world retarded doctor to show up and practice without any qualifications or testing to make sure that they're capable. And she said, well, my dad came here and he worked hard and he retired early. Well, how is that possible? Because he went to school in India where they don't have tuition. It's covered by their government. So he comes here and he's competing with doctors in America who had to go 12 years of their life and go $1 million in debt. And they have this massive debt they have to pay off. And this guy just strolls in, zero debt, zero overhead. And that's what all these doctors are being forced to compete with. You can't compete with that. So when they push all of our children to go to university and pay big bucks, 100,000, 200,000 now, you bring all these Indians off the boat that have zero student debt, they have zero overhead, zero bills to pay. They can work for cheaper. And that's why they want to replace them. And then they can hold their passports over their head. When Trump went down to that Hyundai plant and ran that big raid, that big ICE raid, and got 450 of these illegals, and then he turned around and said, that's okay, we just spent millions of dollars on this operation, but it's all right, you guys can stay. You know what happened? All those illegals said, hell no, we're not staying here, we're getting the hell out of here, and they all ran back. And then South Korea opened up a case against Hyundai because they were holding these people here against their will. They were holding their passports and forcing them to work as slave labor. Imagine that. So that's what's happening here. They're bringing these illegals here. They're holding their passports if they have them, holding their qualifications, and then forcing them to work as slave labor. And a lot of them. So these big corporations that we see like Costco, Walmart, they're all doing this. And, you know, with the slaves, they can do whatever they want. We had that lady from Uganda, 4 or 5 months ago. She worked for the UN, and her entire job was to prosecute human trafficking and slavery for the UN. She was a black lady from Uganda. And you know what happened? She got prosecuted and convicted of owning a slave herself. And today, 4 months ago, they're all running slave rings, still to this day. And that's why they want to allow this to continue. And all these big donors to the left and the right are doing it. They're all involved with human trafficking. Why do you think J.D. Pritzker out of Illinois, why do you think he loves illegal immigration? Because he owns Hyatt hotels. And who made all the money invading our country and housing all these illegals? It was the hotels. They made hundreds of millions, some billions. The Roosevelt Hotel in New York, they purchased it for $35,000 or $35 million. It was the Pakistani government, and they housed all the illegals. They made $840 million housing illegals, helping to invade our country. The Roosevelt Hotel. So imagine J.D. Pritzker owns a whole line of Hyatt hotels. How much you think he made? What about all these Indians that own 90% of the rural hotels in the country? How much do you think they made? And then Trump turned around and he said, we're going to give the hotels a break on hiring illegals and human trafficking. Wait, what? You just got done paying these people hundreds of billions of dollars to house illegals and invade our country illegally, and now you want to give them a break for hiring and human trafficking people? Illegals? The hell is that? So yeah, we're not going to get mass deportations. Trump's just shitting the bed on this. It's all for show. It was just a talking point to get his ass in there, and it's pretty clear at this point they're not going to actually get that many people out of the country. They're just going to pretend and spend $1 trillion of our money pretending like they're deporting people when they're actually not. And they're just giving these people a free pass to keep hiring and human trafficking and committing slavery. It's slavery, guys. Human trafficking is slavery. It's a form of slave labor, and we're paying for it. But yeah, Andrew, if you want to jump in there, go ahead.
I'm glad to hear you speak like this, because this is what we speak like. We realized long ago that politics has no remedy. So no matter who your guy is, like I voted Trump in, like I'm a Trump guy, but I did so with the understanding that I'm not depending on Trump to fix the nation. What I'm depending on is teaching my fellow men and women in the country to do what I'm doing. And so let me just address what you just talked about and try to get to the core issue. And to get to the core issue, we have to ask good questions. So the first question is, who creates corporations? Does anybody know in here who actually creates corporations?
The government.
Okay. The Supreme Court has said corporations are a creature of the government. That is in case law, right? Supreme Court rulings. So if that's the case, the maxims of law say that the legislature controls what it creates. So if the legislature in your state has created a corporation, a status of corporation for a group of people, that means that they have created a corporation and they control what they create. That's how they regulate commerce. So what we don't do as Americans is address the issue properly. We have a problem with corporations. We think we need to sue the corporation in a court of law. That is wrong, because that's literally two branches of government opposing each other, one trying to take over the other. You have a judicial branch trying to take over something that the legislative branch has created. That's not how this works. This is why we get no remedy as the people. We the people have a right to get redress for our grievances. We grieve to the legislators. We do that by giving lawful instructions in your state, using your state constitution to instruct your legislation, your legislators, to give you redress for a grievance. They do not have an option to give you redress. So when you swear to something in a grievance, the government has no option but to redress that grievance. They don't get an option to ignore you, because your constitution in your state will also say something to the effect that government shall be amenable to the people at all times. So when your legislator doesn't respond to your affidavit or your claim, now you go after that legislator for ignoring you. You literally go after him for abrogating your right to be amenable to you at all times. I hope that makes sense, because that's the precision. We have to first identify the problems in our life. We're not very good at that. We're trained to get away from it. And I hope what I just said, I hope it made sense, because I get when I speak, it's not always clear. But if you got any questions to that, I'd like to talk about that, because that's where your power is, folks, not politics.
Yeah, want to ask Andrew, if you've had any success in this realm as far as approaching state constitutions or having official complaint recourses submitted through the correct government officials. A lot of people don't realize how powerful not the Attorney General, I forget it. The military term for the something general. Someone's gonna please help me. I'm having a brain fart. I apologize, guys. But there's people within the government that are meant for this reporting. But I feel like our government has gotten so inundated with, Trump called them the deep state, but really liberal bureaucrats that push the liberal agenda through their non-voted appointed role. Have you had any success in that? And then I don't know. I don't see hands from anyone else. Zero or Ivy or Long Island. I don't think we heard from you. If you guys want to jump in after this, but yeah, Andrew,
I just want to tell you statistic of your doctors of physician in United States. You have more than 24% foreign-born doctors who's coming to work in United States, and from that 24%, 1.3% coming from Europe, and more than 90% are Indians. it's an enormous percentage what you have. I mean, it's a scary. They're coming to kill you.
No, I mean, if we get 20% of the people out of our country, which is around 60 million people that have invaded our country illegally, we would need 20% less doctors. But yeah, I mean, especially in the government sector, these H-1B visas have completely taken over. Those VA jobs that a lot of doctors don't want, because they don't pay exorbitant amounts of money. They're not the highest paying roles for those positions are going to be with the VA. I mean, but you get benefits, and there's a lot of more benefits with it than pay. But not a lot of doctors are willing to sign on for that, so they have a huge shortfall for doctors in the VA system, which results in the entire VA system being completely filled with these H-1B visa holders that are invading us. It's crazy. But if we get all of the tens of millions of invaders out of here, we won't need that 20% of doctors anymore, and they can return to their homeland also. I mean, aren't there shortages of doctors in third worlds? Don't we spend millions of dollars every year for Doctors Without Borders to take American doctors and send them to all these third world nations? I mean, if we're that short on doctors, why are we even doing that? It sounds like the third world nations needs to take their doctors back. No, but Long Island, I see your hand up now. Jump in there, buddy.
Hey, good morning. I'm gonna drop down. I just wanted to say good morning to General Rush and good morning to everybody else, and just thanks for everybody that contributes to this space. I continue to learn every day from you guys, and it's great. And also thanks for recording the space, because I can't always catch it in the morning. So sometimes I catch up and listen to the replay in the afternoon. And I just want to say everyone is very much appreciated, and have a good day, man.
Yeah, Long Island, how you feel with the middle finger from Mandami to Columbus?
He's got to go. This Indian guy who says he's from Uganda. I mean, being from New York and everything, it's just I don't even know what to say that this guy got in or is even in contention for running for mayor. It's just, it's bad enough having De Blasio in there, eating his, saying, get your COVID shot, you'll get a hamburger and a fry. I mean, that was, and painting everything in rainbow colors. And it's just, we went from like bad to worse. I would have to defer to Frankie on that, because he lives down that way now. I'm about 3 hours north. And I don't even know what to say about it. I just...
Yeah.
You know, I don't see good things coming. You know, other than what other people have been talking about, as far as you know, the white people standing up and you know, taking the country back. Because I really don't see that's the only bright spot for me. And listening to you guys, you know, what's going on the ground right now in this country. You know, what I think should happen, I can't even say publicly. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny because Ma'am Dammer, he's a scammer, right? He's Indian. All these Indians are scammers. And he claims that he's from Uganda, but Uganda doesn't have no state. And the only way you can become Ugandan is if your great-grandfather, grandfather, and father were all Ugandan. And that's not the case with him. He's not Ugandan. It's impossible for him to hold the Ugandan passport. He is Indian. But he doesn't want to say that. He wants to claim he's from Uganda, which is total falsehood. You know who else is from Uganda? Is Kashyap Patel. Kashyap Patel's family came in the exact same way from the exact same area of Uganda that Ma'am Dammer came from. So, yeah, there's a lot of connection there, and they're bad news people.
And to your point, General, with you know, Ramaswamy out there in Ohio, you know, he's a Republican, right? And he's Mr. Conservative, and he talks about Hamilton, and he talks about our forefathers. I mean, you know, his whole thing, always talking about the forefathers. And it's just, I think it's just this overcompensation for not being an ethnic American. You know, because he's in some way.
I mean, he says, let's go back to 1776. And I say, yeah, let's go. Because in 1776, they wouldn't even consider him to be human, let alone American. So I really don't understand why he keeps harping on this whole 1776 thing. All you got to do is look at the 1790 Naturalization Act and then go look at the Supreme Court ruling from 1923. And they specifically stated that the Viveks are not American and can never become American. So
well, that's my point. He's just trying to do this, you know, paint himself red, white, and blue to compensate for the fact that, you know, he's from out of town. And to your other point, you brought it up earlier about, you know, Vivek is you know, he's a Republican, yet he's backing this guy for mayor, you know, in New York City. Like, on the surface, he, you know, back and forth, Democrat, Republican, but he wants his fellow Indian in office. You know, it's just...
let's go into that. So how did he support him? He started running ads, very expensive ads, in downtown New York, as if he was running against him in office. And all he was doing was promoting Ma'am Dammy, because no one in New York is going to vote for Vivek in Ohio. And yet he's still running ads, blasting all over New York, Ma'am Dammer's positions. So he's just supporting Ma'am Dammer by doing that. And everybody sees it, right? This is like basic marketing 101. You know, you want to see as much of your candidate as possible everywhere. And he was using Ma'am Dammer's position. This is Ma'am Dammer's talking points to get elected. So yeah, it's Vivek Ramaswamy. He's running ads to help Ma'am Dammy in New York while pretending to be his adversary. You know, he's not running ads. He's using Republican dollars to do it. That's the crazy thing. He's using the dollars from the Republican Party of people who donate to the Republican Party in Ohio to run ads in New York to help boost Ma'am Dammy. It's crazy, but that's what Indians do, guys. They're scared.
Yeah, well, I'll take it. I'll shut up now, but I'll take it a step further. I mean, it reeks of fifth column stuff to me. It really does. Thanks, General.
I don't know what fifth column is. Okay, go ahead, German.
I was just going to say that what Rush was talking about is called the Judge Advocate General. That's all I had.
Well, that's I thought of it afterwards, German Inspector General. Every branch of the military, every federal branch, they have these government oversights that are supposed to go through, and you can file complaints with them. I mean, it's a big thing in the military. Unless people that have gripes with their management, they'll they'll submit a complaint to the Inspector General. But it's how effective is that? In the military, it's not that effective, but maybe at a federal or state level, there are some reporting avenues that we have, because this, always make the sound, the squeaky wheel. I mean, that saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And if 0.2% of the populations, the transgenders of this country, change so much within our society by being a squeaky wheel, I mean, we need to start being more boisterous and start filing these complaints, start filing law avenues. I mean, I don't know if we're going to vote our way out of this, but we may be able to legislate our way into a little bit of change, which could be very positive. But and then the problem with that, though, I feel like the court systems are completely controlled by the global hormone now, and there's so many corrupt judges across our system that it almost everything. Every court has to go to the Supreme Court to even actually get real justice. So I mean, it's pretty trying times for the American people. I feel like we don't have a lot of avenues, unfortunately. But it looks like the layoffs have started now that we're in the shutdown. Trump has started laying off people in the education department, and the offices that got laid off are the offices that oversee special education and civil rights, which is pretty funny. But Andrew, jump back in there, buddy.
Well, I was going to say something else, but after you spoke, I want to address that because it's really good. So just notice, and this is not I'm not harping on anybody. I just want to bring attention to how we think, right? And so we had to remember what guy you were talking about, Inspector General. But let's just think about how the Inspector General position was created. And now let's think about what the people's power to deal with government issues. So we hear all the time on the news that the DOJ is going to bring charges against Letitia James, and we're going to have a grand jury, right? When we're going to do stuff and we're going to, do the things, right? But we never think for a second that the DOJ first did the investigation and not a grand jury by the people. We don't even give that a thought because we don't realize that grand juries, one, are supposed to be extremely secret. You're supposed to never even know they exist in a case until after the indictments are brought by an actual grand jury. A constitutional grand jury belongs to the people. It does not belong to any branch of government. And the reason being, it's the people's tool. It's the fourth branch of government that the people are to use to hold government accountable. So when we talk about inspectors generals or the DOJ bringing charges against somebody in this nation, we have to program our brain to realize that government is regulating itself when it does that. The people are not regulating government. We are not holding government accountable. We are allowing them to hold themselves accountable. So when I say be precise about what we're talking about, we have to understand that we aren't even understanding that an inspector general has no authority in law to do the things that we think he's doing. And so to address that with more legislation is the opposite direction. We need to go back to the forefathers and say, wait, what is the mechanism? What is the tool that people have to make sure all government is in compliance? I mean, these people in government are called trustees. When they lie to us, That's not their First Amendment to lie to us. They are trustees. And trustees who lie have broken the trust indenture called the Constitutions. And they are no longer trustworthy. And we don't have to vote them out. We can remove them by right. This is where you alter, reform, or abolish certain parts of a government by right and not by vote. And we don't do that. We don't get precise about how to use the grand juries and your local sheriff to do these things. We think some big shot in government has to convene a grand jury on our behalf, when that right there is the gatekeeper. They are using their discretion on when and when not to bring articles of indictment, instead of the people using their discretion. I hope that makes sense.
Over Department of Justice. I mean, how can we petition the Department of Justice to convene a grand jury on our behalf?
You don't. You never petition the federal government to do that. You petition your sheriff. Your sheriff, because all criminal acts have to be dealt with in the state and the county for which it happens. So if you have some legislator in your state that you think has done something bad, and you and your bubbas in your county think that, hey, this person needs to be held to account, I want to investigate it as one of the people, you utilize your sheriff's authority to convene a grand jury. And you and your bubbas, you go investigate. A grand jury has plenary investigatorial powers. That means not only do we have all authority to go and investigate somebody in government, or anybody for that matter, as being a group of grand jurists, we can, if you were in government, seize your assets. If you're a government trustee and we believe that we need to investigate you, we can seize all your assets while we investigate you until we either clear you in privacy, by the way. If you hear of a grand jury being convened against somebody, you already should know that that is not a lawful grand jury, because it should be done totally in secret. Because if the grand jury finds that that person is innocent, we don't, as people, we're good people generally, we don't want our neighbor to be harmed by an investigation that finds nothing. We don't want the public, we don't want to have a negative effect, right? We want only a positive effect by these investigations, whether it be justice for a wrongdoing or justice for clearing somebody's name when they've done nothing wrong. It's the people's discretion to bring these issues, not some agent of the government. We have to get better, folks.
Andrew, do you have any kind of citation for this stuff, or any kind of links where we can go and try to read like the law and see what? And I'm not counter signaling you at all. I'm curious, because if we're gonna go and try to arm ourselves, I think that it's cool to be able to go back to it and let our brothers analyze it too. You know, because there's some sovereign citizen stuff out there that's really hard to stand on.
Don't do sovereign. Don't, if they talk about the land and the water, and don't ignore it. Ignore it and run. I'm saying, tell me where the grand jury is found in your Constitution. Is it found in one of the branches of government, the executive, the judicial, or the legislative? It's not. It's found in your Bill of Rights, which means it belongs to the people. It's the people's authority. So that means one of the branches of a government who usurp it or take it from the people, they are literally hijacking a power of the people to use against government. I mean, they've literally gatekept the people from holding them accountable.
I respect that, and I think it's cool, Andrew. What I'm asking, though, is do you have any access to any kind of precedents or maybe recent precedents where somebody's tried to exercise or utilize your system that you're talking about?
Well, right now we're teaching, right? So our country is messed up. We are a nation of people who like to generalize ideas. We like to just, it's politics. At the end of the day, we're not precise in our ideas. We think we are because we want to find evidence. Like, we're really good at finding where the problems are and what's wrong. But if you really think about it, if we're intellectually honest, we as a nation, as just general, normal people, we don't take time to learn law and precision because we leave that to those called lawyers. We want, because it's too hard, right? It's too complicated, and I don't want to mess it up as one of the people. I don't want to, you know,
how do we learn?
It's just too hard. We can't do that because it takes too much time to learn it. Well, if you consider statutes, yeah, I would agree with you. It takes way too much time to learn all the statutory garbage. But our founding fathers did not give us statutes when this nation was born. They gave us constitutions. Constitutions are very small. We can read all 51 of them pretty quickly. Most people could probably read every one of them within a day or two. And it's a principle. It's an idea. It's life, liberty, and property. Those belong to us. And if we did not express or delegate a authority to government, we reserved it to ourselves or the states. So my question is, if we the people reserved certain rights to ourselves, and we did, and we swear to those rights, how is government ever able to legislate something away from us that we swear that we reserve to ourselves? Does that make sense? Like, we have to understand that this is our country. We have to get our mind to the place that we're the boss, that we govern government. Government does not govern the people. It literally does not say what we think it says. The consent of the governed are those that work in government. They have consented to be governed by the people with all political power. It literally says that. But we don't think with precision. We don't read with precision. And so we suffer because we just infer. We believe what other people tell us because we don't read it ourselves. We literally won't read our own constitutions to see what our authority is against those in government in our state. We literally don't do that. And that's the issue.
Well, I guess, hopefully we can start doing that. But I think the problem with that, the reason we haven't seen that in our society is a lot of these problems are coming federally, and a lot of these, judicial systems have already been corrupted by. They intentionally went after our education system and our judicial system first. And George Soros was behind, and his organizations were behind funding every small town judge all across this country. I know lawyers personally. I don't know if we're going to be able to legislate our way out of this either.
We don't legislate.
Well, that's what a grand jury. Yeah. A grand jury doesn't have the power to arrest anyone. All they have the power is to recommend someone for criminal prosecution.
That's right.
Or indictment.
That's right. But that's powerful.
So
that's powerful, right? If you
not when our judicial system's corrupt.
Well, hang on a second, Rush. Hang on. Let's talk about that, because I hear this every day about our judicial system isn't working, but let's just dive into this a second. The last 4.
What's it doing right now? While we're trying to do mass deportations,
let's talk about it.
The judicial system is completely stifling the executive branch in every single way.
Let's talk about that. So, when we say the judicial system is broken, and we talk about courts and judges, do we really know if the people we're actually talking about are, 1, courts, and 2, are they actually judges, or are they hearing officers, and are they administrative hearings? So your Supreme Court, your Article 3 courts, are slapping the lower courts' hands like crazy right now. And there's a shift happening in our nation if you're paying attention. Literally, just in the last 3 weeks, there's been multiple outcomes at Article 3 courts that have told the people, bring the proper argument and we will give you remedy for your grievance. Now let me explain. Last week there was a court case called Sagu v. United States, I believe is out of Texas. Okay? Your court in Texas just told you that the tax court has not been acting judicially and has been abrogating due process in this case. So in other words, they're telling you that these so-called tax courts are administrative in nature. In other words, they are created by the legislature, not by the judicial branch, and they are exercising powers by the legislature and not the judicial branch to take people's property or liberty without due process of law. And so that argument, if people are paying attention, they can literally take that simple argument and say, oh, the tax court's coming after me for something? Well, and they want to apply a penalty to me? Oh, well, I didn't get due process. I didn't get to face my accusers. I didn't see no maxims being used in this court case against me. Like it's not a judicial process. So we don't even recognize when they come after us whether or not it's even judicial or not. So we just clump everything into, oh, the courts are corrupt, when reality, Justice Gorsuch told you a year and a half ago in a whole summer of book tours telling the American people that people in black robes like to pretend they're judges in rooms that they like to pretend are courts. These people, he said that 90% of the situations Americans find themselves in, as far as courts go, are not courts, and they're not judges. They're administrative hearings with administrative hearing officers abrogating the people's due process rights. So it's up to us to recognize when government's attacking us and how they're attacking us. And that's the issue. See, it's not that the courts are corrupt, it's that we think we're in court when really we're not in court. I mean, this is why Chevron was overturned. This is why Bruin happened. This is why Sagu happened. This is why Duarte v. U.S. in California, Duarte was a 4-time felon. And because he said, I am one of the people, I have a Second Amendment right, whether or not you think I'm a felon or not. And the court, the most liberal court in the nations, the Supreme Court of the state of California said, yes, Mr. Duarte, unanimously, you are one of the people. Here's your freedom back, and here's your guns back. But because we don't understand how to individually protect our own rights, we think we have to do it as a group, as a nation. Oh, we got to get our rights back. No, that's not what our founders told us. They said our rights were individual. That means they have to be defended individually. It doesn't work the way we've been programmed to think. We think that we have to fix the nation in this big manner, when simply what we got to do is understand how they're attacking us and defend our rights with precision already in place. And I'm going to tell you, once you understand that, the courts will bow their knee to you because they don't want to go to the Supreme Court. They don't want to have their cases overturned. They do not want that because, one, it shows bad behavior. And the only thing the Constitution says about a judge remaining in his position is upon good behavior. That's the only requirement to be a judge in this country, is good behavior. That's it. Folks, I got to go, but man, I appreciate the time. I just hope you all start to really think with precision about your state and federal constitutions. Find guys like me. They're all over the place. We're just trying to give you information. We're not trying to tell you we're the next best thing to slice bread. But listen, if we don't start,
I just think we're really excited about seeing something happen, Andrew. I mean, it all sounds great, but why haven't we seen anything?
It is happening. I just told you.
Can I jump in real quick? All right. Yeah, you gave me an example of how an illegal alien has now used that to get his gun rights in this country. That, to me, is a great exemplary example of how the courts are failing us. I don't see how that's a win at all.
That's not what you got something conflated there. Duarte v. U.S. was a felon in California. And if he was one of the people, if he was actually from America, which
I'm sorry,
that's a whole different case. Now, Sagu was a foreigner.
Well, there was a foreigner that got the Second Amendment right confirmed through the courts. I apologize, I don't know the exact case. You seem very versed in these cases.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, that principle. Like, I don't care what the person is. What I'm trying to tell you is that person used the right argument in law. He said, I am one of the people. And if the courts didn't refute that he was one of the people, then that's their fault, right? That's the opposing party's fault for not attacking that issue. But what I'm saying is, if we are one of the people says, we the people have a Bill of Rights in every state and the federal. So when we always say that I, Andy Prine, one of the people, have these rights expressed or reserved, prove to me with evidence, government, that I don't have these rights. And just keep it simple. And
right. You're right, but see, that kind of focuses in on an individualism, the one person's rights, but how can we get this on a grand scale? When have there been any wins on a grand scale,
but see, that's not how it works. That's not how it's going to work.
And that's not how we're ever really going to win anything substantial. It'll just be small, tiny wins that won't really.
But don't you see where the problem? Don't you see where the problem is, though? I mean, because our forefathers.
Yeah, the courts.
No, well, but you think it's the court's job to protect your
corrupted
rights.
Like this.
Well, wait a second.
No, it's the court's job to enforce itself.
Where does it say that?
The court should.
Where does it say that?
Well, I assume that it's implied. That's the reason you have hierarchies of courts. And when you have a lower court that is doing bad, as you stated, the higher court should be enforcing that. To me, it shouldn't be for Congress to go in and impeach every single individual judge. The courts should be able to enforce itself and get these bad judges out of the system. The ones that are stifling Trump's deportations, to this day, they're using the 14th Amendment.
Alright, guys, I'm getting burnt out on that, and I actually want to go read my state constitution. I've obviously already read the U.S. Constitution several times, but I have never read my state constitution, so I want to go do that now. I hope y'all have a good day. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. But most of all, may you be blessed and go forth in truth in the name of Jesus Christ.